Welcome, hunters, and thank you for tuning in to the official Monster Hunter subreddit podcast. Okay, so welcome, hunters, to episode 3 of the RmonsterHunter podcast. Today, we have Billybobjho and Muffinblight as our guests, and this is Fortuan and my co-host, as usual, Ray.
Hey guys,
How's it going?
What's up?
welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Alrighty, so we like to start out with the introduction, so go through the agenda we have here. So, Muffinblight, how about you start us off?
Okay. I am a Monster Hunter player. No one probably remembers me, but I started with Try, and I ran a little Monster Hunter YouTube channel, a very meager channel that was sort of focused on like fast hunts and like quote unquote pro strats, elite gaming.
Yeah,
elite
real MLG stuff.
Yeah.
I might have watched a few of your videos. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, you may have. I'm guessing some people will like be able to think of some of my videos, but
What was your
Muffin's
channel
more
name?
likely to be recognized by your listeners probably than I am.
yeah, I'm probably a little bit more famous.
Yep, super elite.
Yeah. Let's see.
Channel name Muffin Gaming.
Yeah, that's me.
All right.
I used to be Muffinblight. I just changed it to Muffin Gaming.
Because he started playing games that weren't Monster Hunter. Traitor.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one non-Monster Hunter video on there. I'm not sure what else to say for who am I, other than I guess I started Monster Hunter with Try. I guess that's kind of important. Didn't play the older games, anything older than that. I have played 3 Ultimate, 4 Ultimate, Generations.
What did you play 3 Ultimate on? Were you on the 3DS?
Yeah, I played a Wii U almost exclusively.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was on the Wii U also.
I actually won a free copy of the 3DS version on a Capcom Unity stream.
Did you really?
Sick. Yes, that was actually.
Oh, that's
really
hilarious.
Sick. I like joined them in their room like on the stream, and then they like randomly did a giveaway in the chat, and I won.
That's
like,
awesome.
While I was in the room. Anyway, so I have about 2,000 hours in Try, most played game by far. Probably some 700, 800, 900, maybe 1,000 in 3 Ultimate. 350 about in 4 Ultimate, and then Generations I spent like 150 hours or something.
So that's the only one I beat you in.
Yeah, probably. Unless
It
you play
really
the
seems to
older
be a
games.
trend for people playing the least on Gen. I don't know if that's a factor of the time it's been out or just the quality of the game.
Depending on how deep we want to go, like we can certainly get on that. Cause,
Yeah, we
considering
might.
we're sort of quote old people. That's just it. We haven't played much of the new games for varying factors, but if that's a thing you guys want to talk about, I'm down.
I mean, if the conversation goes that way, absolutely.
I think that's sort of covered in one of the community questions. But anyway, I guess joining Reddit. I looked because I wasn't sure how long ago I joined it, I joined Monster Hunter subreddit, but it was like 4 years ago, so like 2013. So I think I probably discovered it around the same time that I discovered Reddit in general. So I've been there for a pretty long time. Haven't been too active, but yeah, originally like I saw someone posted one of my videos there, and I thought that was cool because I got to see like comments on it that I hadn't seen before. So that was neat.
Oh, that's nice.
I know, yeah, that was a pleasant little surprise, and I was really proud of the video too. So, yay!
There
That's
you go.
good.
Like, hey, that's me.
Top 3 monsters. Try Elatreon for sure. What else?
That's a fun fight.
Yes. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one.
We had a lot of fun with that.
This is tough. I should have thought about this.
Come on, man.
Maybe Devil Joe, and
How is it not Devil Joe?
I know. Yeah, definitely a late round Devil Joe. Let me think of maybe a newer one that I really enjoy.
I'm not a fan of Devil Joe.
Okay.
What was really fun in like 4? There was one really fun one.
Regios?
No, dear God, no.
Oh yeah, he hates Steve.
No. I'll go with Burkidios.
Oh,
God,
God.
that's a good one.
What kind of choices, man? Freaking masochist.
Favorite weapon? It's gotta be bowgun. Usually heavy bowgun.
Nice.
I just
That's
think
how
it's
I
like-
started my journey.
Oh,
was
that's
a heavy
cool.
bowgunner.
That's cool. Usually people don't start with that. I just think it gets like super underrepresented because I don't know. It's really hard to like optimally use it. So
And often a lot of the guns aren't really that good till you hit
yes,
endgame.
also that.
Yeah,
And a lot of
you
like,
gotta have-
even if you have a good gun, like if you don't know how to use it or like what ammo to use, it's not good. So
Well, so when I first started back in the PS2 game, I already had I had one friend two friends that got me into it, and both of them were greatsword users, and it was like, well, we don't really need another greatsword, so I tried out like the hammer and that kind of stuff, and I don't remember why I didn't really pick up the hammer because I mean, starting with the next game in the generations that I played, which was Freedom 2. Well, I played Freedom Unite, the original Freedom, sorry. And I still played Greatsword there. But I started as a heavy bowgunner because it was like, well, I mean, we need someone who's basically ranged. That's the way we took it. So I started that way. But then, as Ray and I have said before, well, I mean, like, it was my very first character on the first game I played. I think it was a good 150 hours, and then I lost that save, and I never went back. I just went Greatsword because my friends had stopped playing, and it was so not fun to solo as a heavy bowgunner back in those days. Sorry for the tangent there.
All right, so going on with your favorite weapon, you said was bowgun, and I would guess that leads us into Billybobjho.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so Billybobjho is the YouTube channel I use. Joe is spelled Jho, like Devil Joe. Yeah, like Muffin said, I guarantee that probably no one remembers who I am. I mainly posted videos on YouTube under the Billybobjho channel, but it was mainly a Monster Hunter try. I did do a couple 3U videos, but honestly, I really didn't like 3U that much as a game, so my heart wasn't really that in it, if you will, and then I just kind of tapered off as things got busy and that kind of thing. But I played quite a bit of try. I know I have over 3,500 hours in try, which is ridiculous when you consider the fact that try only had like 18 monsters, but somehow. And then I did import Portable Third from Japan, and I played that in the PSP for about 600 hours. 3U came, and I really didn't like it that much, so I only played about 200 hours on 3U. But then I got really back into it with 4U, and 4U I'm sitting at somewhere at 900 hours. And then a similar vein, when Gen came out, I just wasn't that into it. I seemed to skip a game, kind of in my interest, so I think Gen, I did buy it. I have maybe 4 hours in Gen, so I don't even count it. But that's about that.
So, I have a
now?
question. Why was 3U not good to you? Because it had so much more content.
So there are a few things. For one thing, of course, which we might get into, I'm guessing, Muffin and I... just for a side note, Muffin, of course, from Muffinblight. I call him Muffin a lot. I went by the screen name Gale. Pretty much every character I have in any game is named Gale, so you may hear us throwing those names around in conversation, and that's who we are. But so with this group of friends we have, we're hitting hundreds of hours. We hit the game pretty hard, and so it had come out in the summer, and I was still in high school at the time, and I had just some busy summer activities. So Muffin and a few other friends already had the game, were already well past endgame, well past Hunter Rank 51 or however they do it, several hundred hours into the game before I had even purchased it. And so they were significantly ahead of me, which was a little disheartening because I didn't really like getting just grinded up and doing boring quests. And then I just had other things going on in my life that made me busy. Additionally, like that's just a time thing, and I like playing with my friends. I don't really play with randoms that much. So the time thing, but then also I didn't really like the difficulty. I thought it was extremely easy. I remember like the first village quest I did, you have to capture the bear. What was it called? Azuros?
No.
Yeah, see, he knows it too. It happened to all of us, where it's a capture quest, and we killed it and failed the quest within 2 minutes. And we're just kind of like, are you serious? Like, this is an opening quest, and I failed it? It was unbelievable, like, how fast we killed it. I was like, that's not a good sign. And it was just, that kind of continued. So yeah, I don't mean to rag on it, but just like, I just wasn't into it.
Yeah, that's not unusual. That happened. If I remember correctly, the first capture quest that you come across in the original Monster Hunter was a Gypsaurus, and the only way that you could tell is after a while, and I mean literally guessing, we would have to stop hitting it, wait for it to do its janky animations of stop running around the room, because as everyone knows, Gypsaurus does this thing where he charges randomly in 3 corners of the room like a triangle. You'd have to stop and wait for him to do that, and maybe catch him limping, although he may attack mid-limp, so you wouldn't be able to see it. So you'd have to sit there and watch him limp.
That sounds like a pain.
It was a big pain. And as far as I know, there probably was a capture guru skill or that kind of thing back then. I don't remember ever using it or seeing it.
That leads me to wonder, with the games, I felt like they've gotten quite a bit easier, like we're kind of talking about, but then I wonder how much of that is me retaining knowledge from the games, experience.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I would say probably knowledge, honestly.
Like but everything considered, like, okay.
I mean, if you want to be a number cruncher about it, statistically, the numbers of 3U, like the math, they are easier. I wouldn't say I'm happy about it, but it does make sense because Capcom had a lot of problems getting it really big in the West, and I would still consider Monster Hunter to be a pretty niche Western game.
Yeah,
and so,
definitely.
So they definitely had to ease it up a little bit with the hope of bringing in new users. And once when 3U came out, the subreddit really did surge, and there was a lot more people on the YouTube scene. So 3U, for better or for worse, definitely did bring more people into it. So you can't hate everything.
Yeah. I think what really sealed like 3U difficulty was endgame. There were so many quests that were like multi-monster. There were so many that just had like 2 monsters or 3 monsters or like 5 monsters in a row. And when they do that, they like cut their health down by like half or like 75%. And it's just like you can't fight it's just like not even a fight when you have endgame stuff. Like with that reduced health, that really killed the endgame in that game.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
I was a solo hunter starting, Freedom Unite, typically, even though I played a lot with my brother at that time. I still consider myself mostly a solo hunter. In 3U, I had to solo every single one of those, and that was hard, doing that by yourself, regardless of my gear. So I think my toughest quest, and a lot of people were like, no, that guy's easy. But I did it by myself, was Abyssal Legiacris.
Oh, God.
And I was a strict hammer user back then.
Mm-hmm.
So he was so big. I remember being like, that's just a Legiacris. I've dealt with this guy before. And I fought him, and I was like, oh my gosh. He was like a wall for a good 2
Soloing that with
months
a hammer sounds downright impossible.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
That sounds hard.
Yeah. It was not easy.
Yeah, I think they balanced it around, like, because the 3DS was solo only, basically, so I think they sort of balanced it around that, which ended up hurting.
Yeah, well, I did it on Wii U. I didn't play on 3DS.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't even touch the 3DS for Monster Hunter until 4U.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I did have I did have the 3U for both 3DS and Wii U. I played Wii U, but it's actually debatable. I played on 3DS more because I was busy in the summer. I wasn't really home that often, so I did actually play solo on 3DS
Yes,
fairly
you did.
often. Yeah, I played it a
that.
lot on the 3DS. That was kind of like
never did.
I had gotten enough like end game gear. I still never had that much of it, but I had got enough end game gear that I could hold my own, and so I would just play solo and do stuff like that. But yeah, so moving on, I suppose. What's else on this list? Joining the Reddit. I like Reddit a lot. I'm on Reddit all the time. And I joined the Monster Hunter subreddit. I was looking up like the dates. I definitely joined it before 3U released. Which I think was somewhere around 2011. I don't remember the actual dates, but it was definitely before 3U came out, and there was definitely less than 1,000 subs. Not to be like, oh, look how cool I am, but just like it was pretty dead. Like there really was not any activity on the subreddit because it was so small. And then when 3U came out, it started to really hit. I think they hit like 30,000 subs pretty quickly after 3U, and then I remember. There was like this big announcement about how the subreddit had made it into the Reddit's top 5,000 kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. I didn't really post a whole lot. In fact, I still don't really post that much, just because it's gotten to be a pretty big place, and sometimes I don't know. I feel like whenever I have something to say, someone has already said it, so I'll just upvote them instead. But I do look around quite a bit, and I do hang out there. So yeah, been around for a while on that one. Top 3 monsters. Definitely Alatreon. Muffin and I both did a lot of Alatreon-based stuff with our videos. I don't know about him, but I know in Try, I killed over 900 Alatreon. And then Billybobjho, of course. Billybobjho, the channel name was after Billybobjho. I like Billybobjho a lot. I killed well over 1,000 in Try, and then I did more throughout the other games. And then a third one, with 4U, my friends and I, we really, really liked hunting Rajang. We had Rajang killing down to an exact science with 4U. So I would say Rajang if we're gonna. He's not truly a new monster, but if we're talking a new game, 4U, I really liked him.
Just to clarify, I think we both like Try Alatreon. I don't like.
That's true. I really
or 4 Ultimate Alatreon.
I don't
like how they changed him.
I don't like the changes they made to Alatreon, unfortunately.
No.
3U, he's a totally different monster, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
He's not bad in Portable Third. I actually do like him in Portable Third because they make him a little easier, so I can hunt him a little more casually, per se. But Try is the best. Try is the tried and true. If you wanna hunt Alatreon and Try, you gotta know what you're doing, and we really, really enjoyed that challenge, so call us biased on that one. And then favorite weapon? Hammer, absolutely. Love the hammer.
Buddy.
Hammer is the best. There are a couple situations where I don't really think it works, but most of them it works. And then with 4U, what actually pulled me back into 4U, because like 3U sort of burned me and I hadn't played for a while, was a buddy of ours or at least was at one point, a moderator on Unity, Capcom Unity that is, and he gave me a copy of like a code for the demo, the 4U demo, like early. And so I was playing it for a little while, and I got to look at the Charge Blade, and Charge Blade really pulled me back into Monster Hunter. It's like, this is new, this is fun, it's a new impact weapon, I can knock things out with it, it's a little more mobile, it's got the guard pointing thing was super cool, and I spent a lot of time figuring that stuff out. So I really do like the Charge Blade as well.
Yeah, I thought you might say Charge Blade is your favorite.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
So I was just going back and looking because you reminded me of my old history. I first posted Monster Hunter was 6 years ago.
Damn.
It was like a little IGN blog I did called The Ballad of the Monster Hunter.
Oh, I like that.
And I don't know, I'm not going to go into it. It wasn't that good. But I did stuff like I reposted the Zebras commercial from Try. Stuff like that.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, with the guy, the Viking guy they had.
Yeah,
he had a
but
name,
I was going to try to
Ironbeard?
find it. Yeah, something beard. My most active thing was Monster Hunter back then. I'm trying to look for it, but I did a piece of art, and one of my very few pieces of art, I did a 3-headed kazoo, and that's back in those days also.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
sorry,
cool.
I was just like, man, how far back
it's
was I?
weird how long you've been on it. Like, we think about the fact that, like, you know, the people that we have played with and hunted with, you know, we still talk to at least 15 of them. We had a group that varied in size anywhere from like 10 to 30 people. Sometimes we had groups over like 50 people. And we still keep in contact with a fair amount of them. We're like damn, we've known each other for almost 10 years. That's kind of crazy.
Yep, I made a friend on what would have been 4U, I believe, from when I went to visit Arizona to visit a real life friend. I almost set it up to go visit him, and it ended up not working out. But it was like, hey, yeah, we played Monster Hunter together. Let's meet up.
We're actually figuring that out. I don't think a few of us have actually met personally. We've got people all over the world, actually. We have a couple Australians. We had some Germans for a while. Mainly now it's United States, although we're pretty spread out. We've got a buddy from the United Kingdom who's actually going to be flying into the States, and I'm going to be meeting him in a month, which is kind of cool.
There you go.
Wow, that's cool.
So that works out. Anything else, or what do we want to do? We hit the next one?
Yeah, I think we'll move on to the news portion.
We could talk about the health debacle.
I saw that. I don't get it. They keep saying they're not stylizing it, but I don't understand. Like, it's a graphic. It has a style by being a graphic. It's like I think it's just a minimalist style, and people, at least from what I've seen, think it's not. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't really bother me that much.
Explain
with
it.
that,
I'm sorry. I don't understand.
So it's like, each game, the health bar, the clock, that kind of thing, like it looks different. It has a different artistic style to match the other artistic styles of the game. And people are saying that the world one doesn't have anything, which to me doesn't make any sense, because like if it's a graphic, it has a style. It's just a very simple, minimalist, kind of clean looking thing, and people are saying that that's
now, is that the issue, or were we talking about the health meter for the monsters, like the
yeah?
heart?
So
I'm sorry. Was that what we were talking
so
about?
No, the thing I was going to mention is I was unaware of this, but you can go back and see every video. There's a heart monitor on every monster. You can see how injured it is. So
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Not a lot of people do who are older hunters, because that sort of kills a whole game mechanic. Well, it doesn't kill it. So here's the thing. I get what you're saying about the minimalistic UI. That is a thing too, because Monster Hunter has always had that sort of flavorful, like Aztecian look with this sort of like mix of like tribal and geometric stuff. But what I was more getting at, which was pointed out, and you can, Ray probably remembers this. I freaked out about it in our chat between the mods. I was like, I didn't know this was a thing, and of course, Shady and Lax were like, yeah, it's old news. I mean, they were happy about it, but like, oh no, people have been freaking about that already. Yeah. But I was like, I just now noticed it, and that's really bad, because from the beginning, it's always been about you don't really have a lot of, no one wants that monster health bar. Of course, people cheat and bring in that monster health bar, but I think they're really just hurting themselves, because you're not really hunting at that point. You're just, I don't know, you're raid bossing.
Yeah.
It's a total different idea. You're supposed to study and learn the monster and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And sure, there's mechanics of it, just like any other game. You turn it from like more of an immersive experience to an arcade experience, which I don't know. I like an arcade experience at times, but that's not what I play Monster Hunter for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I think that there's ups and downs to it, no matter how you look at it. Like you said in that conversation we were having on the mod channel or whatever, I would kind of stress my point is that there's going to be positives and negatives to every change. If we talk about how the games have gotten easier, that sucked for us as experienced hunters, but for new hunters, that's a great change. It makes the game more accessible, and this can be the same thing, potentially.
There's one reason why I don't think that it's okay, and it's that a system already exists in the game to tell you how the monster is doing, and that is animations and visual cues. It is a redundant system.
That's fair.
That makes it easier.
Yeah, I think it's just dumbing it down and kind of like taking away the whole like an entire aspect of like being an actual hunter in this scenario, and
I feel
having to use your.
I feel like a health bar or whatever, even a heart meter kind of thing. I guess I'm trying to find a picture here, but I can't find much. But
you'd have to find it on the video. So like in the video, the bottom left corner is where they have, I think, the something in the bottom left. Yeah,
map.
bottom left corner is a map. And then you'll see the monsters pop up, and they're sort of like a little hunter note style. And you see a heart monitor overlaid on that icon.
Interesting.
So as the monsters pop up, they pop up on those icons, and you'll see a heart monitor on those icons. And it's been in there since the first trailer, but it's so small. And some, like IGN's little thing sometimes covers it up, or like those kind of things sometimes will cover it up. But if you watch any one of those videos that you can see those icons, whichever one they're tracking, and I'm not sure. I think it only happens once the fireflies are attached to them.
Okay. In any event, I would think that if you have a health bar, any kind of a number or indicator that shows the health status, sort of encourages the hit it till it dies. Like, yes. And that of course is what you actually want to do, but like it encourages, I think, more of the button mashing, get up there and start swinging. And at least in my experience, that's exactly what you don't want to do. You need to be able to know the openings and know when is the right time and when is the wrong time to be attacking. And if you have that health bar, it just encourages you to keep hammering away and watch the number go down. At least that's what I would do. Until then, you do figure out that's not what you're supposed to do.
It's definitely immersion breaking, and I think that's why I have a problem with it.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm not okay with that. Although I can hope, actually, that it's very possible it's an armor skill, and it's just a default skill that comes with the first set. Like,
yeah,
that would be
Hunter set pretty often comes with auto tracker, I think, and like combo up and stuff like that.
And that may be what auto tracker is, considering we don't have paintballs anymore.
Yeah, I would really hope that's what it is, because I'd be pretty surprised if they're like, yeah, by the way, health bars or heart monitor or whatever.
I think
that's way too extreme.
I think it's worth pointing out that like Joe and I and like our group of friends, we have been like super into World so far. I think.
Oh yeah, we love it.
People have like freaked out over like every little change, and honestly, until I see this health bar thing, which may very well be an armor skill, we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think it looks like pretty great.
As
I think it's
players,
a bad thing in a good game. I think it looks good.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you over here.
No, I interrupted you. Don't worry about it. I don't hate Monster Hunter World, and Ray I think is probably the most open to world among our little mod group that discuss regularly about things sometimes. And I think I'd probably the second most open to it. Because I like the game. I like any new game. There was changes that happened between the second and third generation that people didn't like. There's all sorts of changes between generations, which we'll get into later. But there's always something that's like, oh man, why did they do that? And, like nothing's ever perfect. So one of the things that there's always something there that someone's not going to like. And I feel like there's just a lot more this time around, but I don't think I'm going to hate the game because of that. In the end, it's still Monster Hunter, and once I was assured that we have the same sort of combat style, I was fine. Mm-hmm. I had some initial knee-jerk reactions to those first videos because I was like, we joked about this in the first podcast, but it was like the barbecue spit song wasn't there, and we were really worried.
Yeah, I think in the end, like Muffin and I and our friends, of course, and of course you guys have played for quite a few generations. For us on just our raw hour count, we definitely have some things to say about Capcom and their choices that are not necessarily nice. And in this case with World, once we had those kind of baseline things that it plays like a Monster Hunter game, the combat's the same, that kind of idea. It's everything we wanted, to be entirely honest. We've been, the community as a whole, from what I see, has been asking for, first and foremost, an updated engine. They've been riding the same engine into the ground since 3U, and it's just like it's outdated and needs to get fixed. We like the fact that it's available on stronger systems. Muffin really likes Nintendo systems. I certainly like Nintendo systems. I have nothing against them. But they're not very powerful compared to some other things, and so it's like I'd like a very visually pleasing Monster Hunter. I would love it to be 60 frames per second. I like my fair share of PC gaming, and so the fact that we're going to get Monster Hunter on PC, in true HD at 60 frames per second on a new engine. Like, the list goes on. It's awesome. I can't really think of many reasons to be upset about it. It's exactly what everyone wants.
I'm a pretty like Nintendo person, and I still would like to see a Switch Monster Hunter because I think it's a good console for it. But the world looks great, and like if it requires a PC or a more powerful console, then like sure.
Yeah, and that's I don't have any problems with the system change. Aside from I really wanted it on Switch.
It would have been nice. I have to admit, I don't have a Switch. I really, really want one because I just like the concept of it. I think a big problem that Nintendo has had, especially with the Wii U, was just like the gimmicks. Like, developers will make a couple at launch, and then they're just going to be like, you know, if you're, I don't know, Activision or some big dev, you're like, you don't want to make a special different version of your game to adapt to this new gimmick, especially because that gimmick does not sell as well. That's not a good use of your budget kind of thing. And then in the end, it just loses support. You have someone like the Switch, where I guess you could call it a gimmick, but it's not like a developer needs to do anything differently. It's on a screen, and so I think that's really gonna help it. Personally, it's just that I don't have a Switch because I'm not super into the library yet. Although with the recent E3 stuff, we might be picking one up soon. But I agree, it'd be great to have a Monster Hunter on that.
Yeah, it would. I don't know. That was mostly what I had to say. Just that the health bar, I think, the health monitor, heart monitor, is not... I don't know. I don't think that's a very welcome change.
It's concerning. I definitely hope it's a skill. That'd be way more.
I'm going to save most of my little rant for my topic, since that basically is my topic. And I'll just do a one and done rant with how I feel about this sort of issues. So my topic for today was I wanted to talk about changes between the gens. So I started back in the first Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 2, and I've been with it since. So I've had the luxury of seeing all the different changes and different iterations of minor details throughout the entire series. And I think that, as I said earlier, and I don't mean to get so philosophical on something like this, but really I think of it in this context is, so let's take Gen 1 to Gen 2 and something like the Long Blade that came out. This is... When the Long Blade came out, its damage was equal. It was like equal to the Great Sword, but it was faster. So this is like...
Gen 1 also didn't have Great Sword charging, right?
No,
Correct,
it did not.
It did not.
It was very simple. So there's these changes. The change happens. The Longsword's added. This is an awesome change. So many people use the Longsword because it was flat out broken. And if I then said, oh my gosh, this makes my favorite weapon, the Great Sword, completely pointless. Why would I ever use it? It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see that as a negative change. Now if I said, wow, this is a really cool weapon for them to add, let's see how they refine it, then it becomes a positive change. So really, I think as we're coming into Worlds and... You know, there's a lot that's up in the air still. We don't know everything. It could be an armor skill. It could be a change to the game. I think we owe it to the company who's provided us with a great game series. Every great empire must fall at some point, and that's kind of pessimistic, but it's true. This game series is not going to last forever. So we have to let them evolve. We have to try to evolve with them. And
it's got to last forever.
see, I would love for it to, but I mean, take a different game series that has a ridiculous history. Final Fantasy. Now, when you can see the same kind of trend within the Final Fantasy series of the way our community has been reacting. And, you know, changes happen. My favorite Final Fantasy game was 10. Some people would say their favorite was 13. Some would say this new one's their favorite. And that's all for different reasons. But the fact of the matter is, they're different games. And you can enjoy the game.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but we're gonna play them. We all love Monster Hunter enough that we're gonna spend $60 to see what it's about. How many times have you done that for a game?
Spent 60?
Yeah.
I don't know, not a lot, because Jen was 40.
Okay, 40.
Yeah, I think
You put the
Sorry, I just made a bit of a troll there.
No, it's good. It's good.
I think
But
the only issue I have with the way they... Sorry.
Full price, yeah.
Billybobjho made my point earlier when you said you bought Jen and you only played 4 hours. You're gonna buy the game.
Yeah.
We all are. And if it's bad, it's bad. But why go into it pessimistic? And the next iteration, so Jen was bad. If this one comes out great and is awesome, and they fixed a ton of stuff that you didn't like from Jen, and threw in a couple things that you don't like, is it worth it?
I see what you're saying. I would totally get that.
Oh, I don't think that I or anyone else has been saying that, no, we're vetoing it, we're boycotting it. I don't think that there's been any sort of sentiment that we're not going to play World.
Yeah.
Let's make a petition.
I've seen. Yeah, I think there actually has been, but I mean, not very.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think on a large scale.
No,
I think more so what's happening is people are getting upset about different aspects of the game. So, for instance, I personally do not think Generations is a bad game. I played a lot of Generations. I was 210 to some 15, somewhere in there, hours before I lost my save on it. And I haven't played since, but it's just because I don't want to start over, essentially. And I have a Switch, and I don't touch my 3DS anymore. But I did buy a brand new... I bought the special edition 3DS 4 Generations.
Oh, wow.
So I spent $240 on Generations. I have zero regrets for that. I like the game, but some people don't like the Hunter arts and styles. I don't get... Yeah, I mean, like, personally, I don't know. They were okay. I wasn't especially stoked about them. I think there was only one that I really cared about, and that was the energy blade for my charge blade. And even then, everyone said it was a sucky one. I don't know. I thought it was pretty epic to cut off a horn with that thing. But yeah, like I don't think anyone's really hating on the games in general. I think what's happening is there's mechanics and systems that are coming through that people aren't a fan of. We saw this with For You. People are like, "Oh, mounting is going to kill the game," and you know what? It's kind of annoying when people mount spam, right? I mean, that's not fun.
See, now this, I think I can segue to say that demonstrates my point, specifically with mounting, because I love mounting. I think another way to look at it is we're looking on an individual game scale, when I'm tending to look at an overall. When they went from all land fighting and then they added water, at first I was like, oh, this water, it's going to be awesome. And then I tried the water and I hated it. I hated everything about water fighting. And then the company, knowing that this edition was not widely loved, they cut it. And then they moved to the vertical, adding vertical. And then there were some problems with that. And then the next game, they improved on those. So I think, yeah, there are issues that people are looking at, and they're saying this issue is something that I don't like. I don't like that they added that. I don't like that they added this. Okay, there's gonna be some things you don't like. You can't avoid it. Let's focus on the things we do like. Not get up in arms, because that's really my issue, is when people are getting up in arms about it. It's like, it's not going to be perfect. No game has been since the beginning. And we need to accept...
So, here's the thing. I think it would be kind of useful to sort of run down throughout every generation what's changed. So, first generation...
do you just want, like, generic things, or, like...
Yeah, well, generic systems. So, obviously, new monsters and that stuff coming in. But, so first generation, we have the combat we know and love. There's no such thing as charging. except for the hammer. I think the hammer still had a charge, but
it was only the pound, I think. Nothing else.
Yeah, it was only the pound. But it was pretty basic. Monster movement is really robotic, really geometric. But I mean, it was still an awesome game. Then Generation 2 comes out, so the first that we saw in the United States was Freedom 2. That we see faster monsters like Tigrex and Blangonga and Rajang. Those like crazy faster monsters, what we were not used to. They were scary. They were downright scary at times. We start to see, I think that's when the Great Sword got its charge. And then we start to see more weapon variety. So we see the longsword breaking out of the Great Sword tree. Did we see the Gunlance then? I think we did.
Gunlance is second gen, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Gunlance pops out of existence, which was hinted at, which was really cool. If you ever used the original Undertaker lance, they talked about how it had some sort of ancient thing and it wasn't totally there yet. And that was one of the Gunlances. So they've always sort of hinted toward that kind of stuff, which I thought was cool in the lore. Mm-hmm. But so you get more weapons and more, different kinds of monsters. You get more monster types. I mean, it was pretty much just bird wyverns and wyverns is mostly what you had in a couple dragons in the first generation. Mm-hmm. And then you start to get the monkeys and some other stuff.
The diversity's come such a long way from the beginning. Using the first game as a mirror for the rest of the games to say, this is where we started and this is where we are now. The amount of diversity in the weapons, the monsters, the way they've literally changed the fighting style. We mentioned this maybe last podcast or something, but the original weapon style for those who didn't play the the attacking style was the stick, the right stick on the PlayStation 2 controller. You would click it in different directions. And that I loved it. I loved it back then. And then we move on to the buttons. And, at first I wasn't accepting of it, but then I said, okay, well, this is how it is now. And now I enjoy it. And I don't have any problems with it. So.
Yeah.
As just a quick interjection on that. Sorry. When you just reminded me, probably the best Monster Hunter player that Muffin and I know exists. Like the best player I have ever seen in my entire life plays on that style using the right analog stick to attack. So that's that's a fun fact.
He did that style?
Yeah, he did. You can I know in one video he had, you could see his controller config, and you can also just kind of hear it in the way it clicks.
I wonder if he's a god because he's been around since the beginning.
Yeah, he is. Sorry, continue on. That we might talk about that guy later, but
that was. I feel like I really covered my point. Is just like, in a nutshell, we can. There's two sides to every coin, and we can look at the positives or we can look at the negatives. No matter how we look, they're both gonna be there. So, let's look at the positive.
Yeah.
Let's say, what do we like about this game, and we can address those other things, but we don't need to dwell on them. Because ultimately, it's not going to change anything in this iteration. We mentioned before in, I believe, the last podcast that this game is probably close to, if not done, being developed. I know not much about how games get developed, so is that not right? This game
most likely, yes.
is almost done. So,
based on the timeline.
Nothing is going to change. We're going to get the game we're going to get. And we're going to have to wait till the next iteration. We can voice our complaints. We can say, hey, I'm not a fan of this. But right now, so much is up in the air that, not up in the air, but, in the dark. That once the game's released...
I have a feeling I will like it.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait.
They'd have to mess it up pretty bad.
Yeah, they really
not
would.
Like it.
And, if I play it for 60 hours, that's $1 an hour to play a new Monster Hunter game. Worth it for me. I'd pay that.
Yeah. Yeah, easy.
Well, so I did want to continue and talk about a little bit more about the sort of generation changes, because I think the biggest change is the one that we stopped at is 2 to 3. So 2 to 3, we got
really?
the
You think 2
updated
to 3
models.
is the biggest?
Oh yeah, we got the updated models. We got Rathalos that actually sort of flies around now instead of staying on the ground like Rathian.
Yeah, that was pretty significant.
So we had a lot of monster variety. We got the Brute Wyverns. We got the
Underwater too.
roaming. Well, I'm talking about Tri at first. So Tri did
underwater.
Yeah, you're right. So it had underwater. That's the most people get hung up on the water for sure. But we had lighting mechanics in Tri. You had dark areas, if you guys remember.
Yep.
So you had to use a torch.
Those are annoying.
Oh,
Well, I mean, yeah,
God,
they're
I
no longer in
forgot
the
about
game. That was cut out before the
I
water
hated that.
was. But yeah, that was there. We had the pinning mechanic, so the monsters could pin and eat you. That was not a thing beforehand.
Yep.
There was all sorts of like different changes. We had quality of life changes. You could save armor sets. I think at that point.
That's true,
armor
yeah.
sets.
Muffin and I both started on Tri. I did go back and I played some second gen, not very much, but I played a few of them. So I suppose I didn't notice. I noticed a few things missing, but I definitely didn't realize that pinning was a thing that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. Palicos were not a thing till Freedom Unite,
Mm-hmm.
so there wasn't any such thing as a companion in the earlier stages of the games. and
Going
of
back
course
to
we got
1
the-
again, from 1 to 2, farms were added. There was no farm in 1, so you couldn't... there was no Kokodo farm. Not in the very first one.
Yeah, there wasn't. But I'm trying to think, did that get added in G?
It wasn't...
The
It was
farm-
definitely in Poke.
I actually played G for a little bit. I think the farm was in G. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's why I'm hesitant, because I think it was there in G. I just don't remember. Yeah, but yeah, the farms is definitely something that was added later on, not in the very first game. Either way, and then we have just all sorts of stuff in 3U that brought in Brachydius, some of the more dynamic movement monsters outside of. Well, I mean, I guess you could say Nargacuga is very dynamic in its movements, and that was in second gen, but. Yeah, I mean, 3U, you got, I don't know, a lot more out of Tri. Tri was so small. I think Tri was the smallest amount of large hunts we've had so far. Which is why Tri is probably one of my least played as far as I feel like I did. I probably played it more than I thought. And then 4, of course, we talked a little bit about that. We get the jumping over the water, the 4th generation stuff like that. And there's all sorts of different mechanics that we've tried and given up. Guild quests, the guild monsters or whatever, guild level 140 monsters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Expeditions. There was kind of an expedition thing in 3U. It was just like things they've tried out here and there. So, and then of course Generations has the styles and arts that's new. I would like to call out to they've changed the minion system pretty consistently.
I was glad they brought back the cats when they did.
Yeah, and
I didn't like Shakalakas as much as.
Yeah, people were. I think a lot of people liked the Palicos, but there's definitely a following of. I mean, there's a guy who posted his name is I want Cha Cha back. Is his actual Reddit name. There's definitely a following for the Cha Chas because they had a different system. It was here's a mask.
I hate the cats, and I'm not like particularly in love with the Shakalakas, but I prefer them to cats.
Really?
So here's the thing. Here's one of the rare unknown monsters that was in Freedom Unite. Do you guys remember the Shakalaka King?
I do.
Police Ray? Do you?
I know about him.
I don't. Doesn't ring a
So
bell.
he was a Shakalaka that used to be an enemy. These little tiny people. Was in second gen. And he had a king. He was like the Vespoid Queen, when the fact that it was this weird sort of like just not a normal monster that you would fight, but it was there. They had their own quests, of course. The Vespoid Queen being another rare one to find.
Either.
Well, that one was hard. I failed that one a lot because I didn't know how to get to her until I eventually just accidentally found her because you had to kill 50 Vespoid and then she would show up. The Shakalaka King, he was like a normal monster. He was just there. But the thing about the Shakalaka King, he was a larger Shakalaka with a barbecue spit for the head. And that's what I think inspired them as followers is he would do this dance and he would shoot fire out. He was a tough fight just because it wasn't like it was tough as in like, oh, you would die, but it was tough because it was so different. Because you're fighting like pretty much a pygmy human-sized monster. And it was different for sure. So they've always been trying new stuff between the games, and I think you see that sort of. I like how things have taken inspiration and got them further. I think it was Portable Third, the first time you really got to customize Palico armor.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that we didn't get because Portable Third was still in the third generation in the United States, which, we technically never got that game. So I was really sad that we didn't get to customize anything, and I felt like the Shakalakas were a step back because now we could customize our minions.
Well, one of my close friends, one of his favorite features that was lost was back when the bow guns you could piece for piece assemble them.
Yeah, and that was a third generation also.
Yeah.
Only.
And that's something he would bring back if he could, but
I feel third generation is sort of the black sheep of the series because so many things are dropped from there. We got the water mechanics, we got the customizable bow guns because there wasn't such thing as a heavy or light. It was based on a weight of assembly. And
that was so weird thinking about that.
Yeah,
try with the medium bow guns was a little weird in retrospect.
Yeah, and it was technically a thing as medium, and we don't even talk about a medium bow class because it was literally based on weight then. And of course, the light mechanics, which was probably the shortest lived feature. Like all that kind of stuff. It's so cool to see how the game has progressed over the years.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I think that what I don't like about, what I do like about World and what I've disliked with every generation, I just since I started, they've just ran that engine into the ground, and like instead of they just keep on adding like new stuff, and at some point it's just like you can't just take the same thing and like add new stuff anymore. It just becomes this like hodgepodge kind of thing. That's sort of how I felt about Gen. Like I feel like it just sort of it's just another thing that another layer of like stuff added, and
I'd agree.
I prefer just like a fresh start, like a new engine. Like let's see something different rather than just like adding another mechanic onto this shell.
I mean, that's what happened in third gen. Third gen was that upgrade.
Yeah.
And then third gen got upgraded into fourth gen, which was, all the mounting mechanics and that kind of stuff. And fourth gen's been around a while, what you're saying by after 4U, that team moved on, is now making World. So they were addressing that. It is a new engine and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but, we still had 2 games to go since, because, making games isn't quick or easy.
Especially making a new engine. That takes time. But yeah, I definitely am looking forward to a fresh breath into the system.
Yeah, that's the kind of sequel that I like. I'm sort of a Nintendo person. And I like the approach Nintendo takes to their sequels, where it's like several years in between games, but each one is really something like it's its own like thing.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'd like to see that applied to Monster Hunter, and it looks like World is gonna do that. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. That was all I had to say. Yeah. So I think we can easily move on to the YouTube stuff. So why don't you guys take it away?
All right. I suppose I will kick it off. We're gonna do our best to talk over and with each other and kind of go through things. I don't know about Muffin. I find it important to point out the fact that while the content we produced was, like we said in the beginning, MLG Pro Strats and
Elite.
that kind of thing. It was very elite.
Hunting.
Like, we're very self-aware, I guess is the thing to say. We'll definitely get into the fact that there are some people in that, let's call it competitive level, that take themselves way too seriously, and for us, it's very annoying. We for the group of people we play with and the things we do, we like to play at a high level, I guess you could say, but like we're having fun. It's how we like to play, and we happen to play at what some people might consider to be elitist, I guess. But like, I don't know. I think we're nice people, and we don't. But so I don't know. I just feel it necessary to point that out because some of the things we did in the videos we made, I don't know, are sort of brag-worthy. Like, they're, maybe not me so much, but there are definitely some things that Muffin has on his channel, that, like, he did it first. And, like something happened, and now a lot of people do it, and he did it first. And it's actually really cool to watch those trends when, like, a video came out, and then you'd see other people doing it, and you can kind of be like, I made that. And it's like, no one's gonna really know or really care, but I made that. It's just sort of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not full of ourselves. At least I don't think we are. So take that with a grain of salt. Those listening, don't think we're douchebags. We like the game.
Speak for yourself, bro.
Yeah, okay. Muffin's a tool. So with that disclaimer out of the way, I suppose we'll say, I started my channel, I think a year before you, Muffin. Does that sound right?
Yeah, you definitely started before me. Did you want to talk about like game facts or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, sure. So very, I'll try to be quick about it. I know Jask actually in your second episode, or Shady, his username on Reddit.
Yeah, we refer to him as
Shady talked about it a little bit. And I thought it was really interesting actually that he talked about game facts as well, in sort of a different perspective. Game facts is the OG. And it sounds like from what Shady's experience was he was there and he didn't like it and so he left. People that are aware of it, I would consider GameFAQs as basically like 4chan that was just moved to the GameFAQs boards. Like it was a very cancerous place. It was a lot of just like get good, hit it till it dies. How about you not suck? No one was really like truly helpful, and so it was a really rough community. But simultaneously, it was the best, it was the most skilled, community to ever exist, for all of 3rd gen. All of Tri-Portable 3rd and 3U, the absolute best players you'd ever find came from GameFAQs, which is interesting. Like, I myself didn't really like, I have a rough history with those users, I don't really get along with those guys anymore. I suppose it's been a long time, but like, we didn't get along when we were posting. But so I started off on GameFAQs, and so I was in that community a lot as a typical brand new user who had no idea, and they more or less, beat it out of me and made fun of me until I got good, and then I got good. And so I don't remember why. I think I had a buddy actually who was also doing videos, and I was like, this video thing is kind of fun. And so like I made with him, we made a video where we quote speed ran the Uragon back in Try, man. And it was Mies.
Yes,
so
I've seen that. Okay,
that's the very first video. I can probably still find it. I was on his channel. But so like we with an Uragon, over the course of like a 3-hour process, we took like 2 paralysis longswords, the Shadowbinder, and a few other weapons, and we developed like this little strategy to beat an Uragon really, really fast. I think we finally got it down to like under 4 minutes, if that sounds right, something like that, which for us was pretty damn fast. And we're like, that's cool, let's record this and put it on YouTube. And so just stuff like that was sort of how I got into it. Like it's the YouTube thing is really fun when you post something that you're proud of, and then you get the comments and like the people that are interacting and they're impressed or they have critiques and that kind of thing, and that's how it all starts up. And so I from this GameFAQs thing, I posted on GameFAQs for a while. They're kind of assholes, and so I ended up going to Capcom Unity, and so I posted there for a little while. And I would say my time on Capcom Unity is when the YouTube channel flourished as small as it was. It was a very, of course, Monster Hunter was already really niche, and the people that care about those videos, I look back at the videos on my channel, I can't believe anyone sat through them. Like even for my stuff that's considered fast, they're like 10-minute videos. and you're just like sitting there watching a guy swing it around. But people watch it, and that's cool to me.
Oh, dude, don't worry. I am definitely a long form video guy. I don't know if you guys know who Maximilian Dude is.
I think so.
Yeah.
It does fighting games, but he also recently did full playthroughs. I sat through and watched all 44 hours of him play Neo.
Damn.
I've always been a long form video guy. I've watched this one's going to be really obscure, and I'm not trying to be a hipster about it. It's just I'm also into. So I've always said my top 3 games are Monster Hunter or series. Monster Hunter, Diablo, then Doom. And I watched old school Doom stuff. I still played Doom regularly.
Mm-hmm.
This guy named Wham Ninja Molehill. Really weird name, but he does old school FPS gameplay with mods. And he's been playing through old Doom WODs, is what they call. Basically, the level sets are called WODs. And I watched a lot of what he's posted on Doom, and I've watched some of the other games like Duke Nukem and that kind of stuff, but I'm not as interested in those. But there are episodes that are an hour and a half long because it's, a room full of like 600 demons, and he's got to kill them. So, I mean, I don't think long-form videos are... There's definitely an audience for those. And
Yeah, Joe and I actually had a little bit of a different philosophy on that, but we'll get into that later probably.
Okay, where were we? So the GameFAQs thing. Sorry. So the reason I say the GameFAQs was so sealed was because those people. I'm willing to bet that at least a few of them could fluently speak Japanese, because what would often happen was there would be a video that people would post on GameFAQs, like entirely Japanese. Like there's no way you can search this and find it. It's like a Japanese video on YouTube with maybe 100 views, and it just like with Try, the Japanese were always better than anyone on the European or American servers because they did have separate servers back then. And like within the first few months, probably the first month of Try being in Japan, there already existed videos of these ridiculous strategies of people. The World Eater, Devil Joe, had already, like the really big one, had already been out for quite a while in Japan, and they killed it in under a minute. And the
holy cow,
the grand fame one, and it's so crazy because like the Western servers caught up and figured these things out, but it took them months by comparison. These guys were cranking this stuff out literally as soon as the game started. There is a video that exists of Japanese players, and they beat a Try Elatrion in 45 seconds. And it's unbelievable. Like it's just, and actually it's impossible in the European and the Western servers because Elatrion actually paralyzes longer on the Japan servers, and so they could use that to their advantage and do more. But so like these videos would get posted, and it's ridiculous that they exist. And so what I did personally, Elatrion's my favorite monster by far, and I really liked to push soloing Elatrion. That was, I guess you could call that my thing. Like I really, really liked soloing Elatrion and to get it like really damn fast. And so there was this thing. It's hard to describe visually. So you guys have played Try, of course, to endgame, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so basically when the Elatrion is running around, it'll do like that rush attack at you, and it whips up its head, and then it turns around. Anytime it turns around. In Portable Third, in 3U, all the later games, when it turns around, you know how his head, like, he'll dip down, and if you're a hammer user, you can hit it when it goes down like that?
Was he in Portable Third?
He was, yeah. Okay. So maybe not.
Sorry.
Anyways. No, that's fine. So like, it's any monster. Any monster does that. Like, that's that's the bread and butter for the hammer user. When the monster turns around, you smack him in the head. That's what you do. It's really easy especially in Portable Third. His head dips super low and it's down there for a while, and you can hit it. The thing about in Try is, and if it really interests you that much, I encourage you to look up some videos of it. The Try Elatrion, when he turns around, you can't hit his head. It doesn't reach low enough at all, and you can't hit it, and so it's really hard for a hammer user to do that. However,
like me at that time.
Yeah. However, a Japanese user, it was posted, there is a single frame when the monster turns around that it enters the hammer hitbox. So with absolute perfect positioning behind the monster and absolute perfect timing, you can hit the monster or hit Alatreon in the head with the hammer every time it turns around. And this was a serious game changer, at least for soloing, because it made hammering super viable. Hammer, without a doubt, is the best option for soloing Alatreon, at least in my opinion. Yep. There are a few outliers, but for your average person, it's the absolute best way to do it. And
it's definitely the fastest, objectively.
Yeah, so this was a really big deal that this happened, and so people on the GameFAQs boards were trying to figure this out and get it, and I was one of them, and I got it. And so I guess I was just lucky in the sense that I got it, and I did already have this YouTube channel. That's another thing. Recording gameplay back then was a lot less accessible. I had this piece of garbage capture card.
The easy cap.
God, I think it was terrible. Yep. But like I had it, and most people didn't. So I sort of had that competitive edge, let's say, that I had a way to show that this could be done. And so I was posting videos of that happening. I remember my first like Alatreon solo video that I posted. It was like a three-part thing, and it took me, I don't know, like 38 minutes out of a 50-minute quest. So pretty much the entire quest time to solo this Alatreon with a hammer. And, you know, I got a couple of these. This term, the hitting of the thing as it turns around, we call that a turn-a-pound. It's catchy.
Yeah.
And so the turn-a-pound was this concept that picked up. And so I wouldn't say I started it, because I definitely didn't. But we'll say that from the YouTube, from a more average user base, for a more accessible viewer base, my videos got it known, and so you were
the most mainstream.
Let's call it that.
Soloer.
And so it picked it up, and so people started noticing it, and so that just kind of pushed the evolution of it, and it was finding these different solos, and so working it down from there. And so like I had this video where I did it in 38 minutes, and then I did another one and I got it down to 25 minutes, and then
huge improvement.
And yeah, it was awesome because with that practicing, and even then it wasn't great. I missed quite a few of them. And then people figured out, you know, other places that you could hit the head, you can get in things faster. You could figure out a way that basically, as a hammer user, where you would be able to hit Alatreon in the head probably every 4 seconds. Like, you were always hitting it with this good timing kind of thing. And eventually, I think the best time I ever did with a solo, like way at the end when all this crazy stuff had been figured out to, you know, absolutely maximize the amount of damage you were doing. I soloed an Alatreon in like a little over 10 minutes, which for your typical user, for you people listening who may not have even played Try or are used to the new ones, for your average team of 4, if you put 4 randoms in a room with decent gear fighting Alatreon, it probably will take them about 25 minutes, give or take.
Like that's what I remember.
And because it can be chaotic, you got people running all over the map, and Alatreon's hitbox style, or his tracking style is he just goes one by one. So if you have like a guy spamming the wall ping thing, he'll run way over there, and he'll run back over, and you gotta chase him around everywhere. It's actually easier to hunt him, in my opinion, solo, because his attention is completely focused on you.
Also, I think it's worth noting that the way you get that super low time is with feline heroics. And that requires your health to be a pixel, basically. And if you get hit by anything, or even go next to lava, you die. So you have to, you know, hit all these like really hard tricks and get good AI and manipulate.
Yeah, AI plays a lot into it.
And you have to do all that without taking any damage at all.
So you're going 10 minutes not getting hit. So, you know, not meaning to self-plug a channel that's long dead and super old, but if it interests you, if you think that sounds interesting at all, I would encourage you to go look at either mine or Muffin's channel and find those videos, just to kind of see what we're talking about for a visual aid. And so, you know, we were into that. We really liked that progression. We really liked the idea.
I was going to ask, when did you make your tutorial? At what point?
Oh, I did do that, didn't I?
Because I did. That's what got me into it.
Yeah, so I did make a tutorial on some of the simpler ideas on how to do it, and you know, this is a long time ago. I'm a young dude. I was like, oh god, I think I was 14 when I made that video.
Yeah, I remember. It was really, because you had the easy cap, which was like a Chinese capture card, And you talked with your microphone. Was you just plugged your headphone into the?
I rewired a pair of headphones to act as a microphone. Like so, I was working on an extreme budget. I was a 14-year-old kid with. I was a 14-year-old kid with no job and no free time.
Everyone today, you have Gadget Hunter and like RX and stuff, like these high quality stuff. Like
I like
whenever
RX.
the new game comes out, like
I had my full setup on $25.
That's what we dealt with. That's
this was some OG DIY stuff, and so
that's what started me on like your video, your tutorial and like your solo and a couple other solos. Like I saw that and I wanted to do it. Like it just looked super fun. I wasn't like particularly into like getting good at games until Monster Hunter, but I picked up Monster Hunter Try Christmas 2010. And my first character, I just played through like I kind of normally would. Like I was pretty bad, and I got to like HR 91, and for some reason I wanted to start another character. And with this character, I was like, the second character I made, I was like, okay, I want to try and be like actually like good with this character. So somehow I discovered like some other YouTubers and your channel, and I decided I really wanted to try that for myself, and practiced a lot. And I think once I got my capture card, like maybe 2012 January is when I got mine. That's when my channel started. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the first things I posted was like an Elite round solo.
It was you had two channels. Your first channel is called Wonderball 86.
68, I think.
Okay, it's Wonderball something. He has a video on there where he solos Electron with a greatsword. Similar concept where you just beat the damn hell out of the thing. I think you do it in like 15 minutes or something like that.
13.
So we're just using Electron because I guess that's what we like the most. But it was applying this concept to everything. It was like any monster in that game. How do you maximize it and how do you destroy it? And a lot of it depends on AI and getting a monster that's of a good size, because there are some HP variations based on how big the monsters are when they spawn. That kind of thing.
Luckily Electron did not have that problem because he was
which made it a lot nicer.
10,000 HP every time, so that was super nice.
Yeah, so you had a lot of variability, and you have to depend on a lot of different things. But it just for us, that was kind of how we maximized, a game that only had 18 monsters.
Honestly, I think like the lack, like quote unquote lack of content, like kind of helped, like because it's just straight up like the stuff wasn't overpowered. Like you had Vangelis, you had like attack up large, sharpness +1, and then like one more skill. It's like that's it. That was the best set, something like stuff like that. And I think that honestly worked in his favor. Like. It just made the gameplay more important. It's less about like the strategy, a little bit less.
Yeah, with a lower ceiling, a lot more people can hit that and then improve upon it.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that for a long time. We tried to branch out other things. Both of us, of course, at this time were in like early high school, and so like most things, you get busy. We joke nowadays because we don't really have a lot of time to play these days, and it's like, well, there's a new generation of 12-year-olds that can be really good, and it's just like they can, that's all we did. We just got really good at Monster Hunter because we just didn't do anything else. I'm trying to think of some of the other like big things that we did. I guess some comparable names. So this like little niche community that I've referred to. It was maybe 10 people like that were regular content posters.
Okay.
And my channel and Muffin's channel were the biggest out of that group. We both peaked at a little over 2,000, so we were sharing a viewer pool of, I don't know, probably like 2,000 to 3,000 people. Not very many. And then there were a smattering of other people that all had like, up to 500 subs. But it was about 10 people. And so there was us two. There were 3 or 4 Germans. There was a French player. There were a few people from Spain. And it's sort of, I wouldn't necessarily call us a community that often communicated. And, maybe we'll get into that in a second here. But, we were all people that played the game a lot. As one off-aside, I guess, brag thing you can call it, more just a testament to how much time we wasted. Muffin and I were both ranked 999 in Try. Which
I never got there.
well, see, that's again, it's the kind of thing where it's like it feels weird to be like back in my day, but it's like in try that was really hard. Like that took a really, really, really long time. You couldn't hit 999 till at least 1,000 hours. You know, there were people that would make accounts with the sole purpose to see how fast they could do it. But your typical player that plays the unhealthy amount that we did would probably hit 999 at about 2,000 hours, give or take. And so that was a thing. So that this whole community of the people that were posting were all ranked 999, all had that fancy dancy red name kind of thing. And those are the other things that, you know, we complain about with the new games where it's like getting 999 in 3U and 4U is a freaking joke. It's just, it was really, really easy. And so it made things hard sometimes when you're hunting with randoms and stuff. When you see a person in try come in with rank, 800, the biggest thing is HR means nothing. That's very true. However, It was at least a fair indicator. You could be like, okay, this guy's played a long time. I'm gonna hope he knows what's going on. You can't really rely on that anymore. Like, really since 3U, it's
especially
not
with
helpful
the
in the
action
least.
replay and stuff.
Yeah, it just made it trickier, but so like I guess we had that going for us. If I had to summarize like my top achievements in try, it would be that. It would be that I soloed a latch round really fast. I had 999, and I suppose I had my Devil Jill solos down to like 6 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say I was pretty proud of. Also I got under 10 minutes by 1 second.
Yeah, he beat me. Dude, he ended up surpassing me.
I
of course
grinded
he did.
that so hard because the servers were shutting down, and
Yeah.
I didn't have that
for a lot of people.
I didn't have that sub 10 time yet, and so like a couple months before the servers were shutting down, I was like all night like just over and over and over again to just like do this quest, like start it over and restart if I fail it and stuff. I did it. I grinded that so hard. I probably tried to I think I counted. I had like 700 attempts or something before I finally got it. But yeah, I finally achieved that sub 10 minutes. Super happy by 1 second. So that was awesome. And then I was gonna say the other try achievement that was even like better than 999 HR was like the 99 Sky Piercers.
Oh god. See, that's the funny thing. I had over 900 Elytron kills, and because I was always a hammer user, like probably the number of times I didn't break both horns was under 10. And in the end, after all that, I had like 54 Sky Piercers.
I had 99. Yeah,
the most ridiculous drop rate in the world. I was like, this is so dumb. But
that was I did get a few. I remember because I did make his stuff. But
yeah, it was very ridiculous. But yeah, I guess Muffin, can you think of anything else that really happened in try? I guess for a user thing, if we'll talk about. Let's talk about the other people. How's that, Muffin?
Okay. Yeah.
I did want to say something.
Sure, go for it. Yeah, we've been talking about it.
I can't imagine how you guys are like, oh, back in my day. Well, I'm not trying to be elitist of myself, but playing since older games, and I'm like, wow. I mean, like I still consider the third generation fairly new.
Yeah, we're right.
Actually.
That.
But also, I was 15 when the first Monster Hunter came out. Like when try hit, I was married.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I had already by the time I was married, I had already graduated college. I've been in a career since try.
Okay.
So, wow. I've always felt I was like, wow. I guess that it's a different perspective.
No, yeah, we're super super fraudulent. Like we're not actually old farts, but we're fraudulent.
I'm not an old fart either. I mean, it sounds like I am. I'm only 29. I'm not that old.
I mean, Muffin and I think we're both 21, and yes. So like, and it's just interesting because that's just it. No, we're not old by any means, by any measure. We're not old, but it's just
right.
Like when you take the raw hour count and like just the level of how much we played compared to how much we play now. Yeah, we joke like the whole back in my day when things were differently. And
I was kind of so thing. Young when I started playing that I quit because it was too hard for me for a while.
I believe that. Yeah, that game was brutal.
I want to say I was probably 8 or 9.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So
I was in high school
when try came out. I was probably 14. I think I must have been 14 when it came out. So it's like,
yep.
with that comparison, I had nothing else to do. And so then it's like, then when high school comes around, you actually start getting challenging classwork. I had a job. I had extracurricular activities I did, and time slips away from you. And that was part of the thing with why 3U turned me off. I had things I was doing that I was busy with, and I just didn't have time to sit there and rip through that kind of stuff. And so then when I did, and I did have time to play, my friends were way ahead of me, and I was like, well, heart's not really in it. So
I had to be
especially
at least 10. I just did math.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, for what, Monster Hunter 1?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that seems
because
like
it
a fair
dropped
reason to
March
get your butt
11th,
kicked around a little bit.
2004.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be hard as a 10-year-old.
It was.
So, wait, what were we talking about?
Other people.
People.
Other,
People,
the other-
okay.
you-
Let's
yeah.
start with some good people.
Well, I think. Yeah. Okay. I don't know who you have in mind.
I'll let you bounce off because this is more your discovery. Though I was saying before, the greatest Monster Hunter player I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All Japanese player, so I couldn't even tell you what his name is because I can't pronounce it. I can't read kanji. But Japanese player who was on YouTube. Another thing with the Japanese community in Tri was that they have their own proprietary YouTube service. It's called like Nico Nico or something like that. So
Yes,
you didn't really
Fun
see
fact,
a lot.
it's on the Switch now.
Is it really?
Yep.
Okay. So you didn't really see a lot of Japanese videos on Tri. And in fact, most of them were reposted by other people who use
Yeah.
Nico Nico and moved them to YouTube. Except for this guy and maybe a few others who did actually post their own content directly to YouTube. And so, I'll let you take it, Muffin.
Yeah. Well, just to clarify, the Japanese, they always get the Monster Hunter games before us.
Yeah.
So they get like a head start on all this stuff. And also, I don't really know how big like their like quote unquote competitive community like was. Like it may very well have been like bigger than ours, and it probably is because the game is more popular. So that the combination of like them getting it earlier and their community probably being bigger and like having more communication means that they were just like level, like they were like always the level above us consistently. So like it was always crazy like when you finally found like a Japanese video. Like I remember there was one guy in like the earlier days when I started. There was one guy who actually posted his stuff to YouTube, and I forget his name. I remember he used the Raytheon cap on his set, and that was what identified him. But he was like he would get like 11-minute, and then like he got like a 10-minute time with heroics on Elytron, and like he was like the god in our eyes because that's all we knew of, and eventually he stopped posting, and then I think someone else, I mean I don't remember any of these people's names, but someone else posted their like 15-minute does this sound right, maybe like 14-minute like no heroics time. And do you remember that person?
I think that was the same guy.
I don't know. I think it was someone different, but to us we were like, I remember because we were like, oh, this has to be like hacked. I remember thinking that.
That's another thing, actually. So, because we were really into it, like, you guys are aware of the damage formulas?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we knew those by heart. Like,
I mean, I don't know them.
We did all our math. We calculated everything to a T. We knew all the rates. There are a few videos that we could do the math and know if it was real or not, and that wasn't uncommon for people that, I guess you could say did the pro strats. Like, that was a thing. You just knew the formulas.
I knew all the motion values and everything. Yeah.
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah, in this video, like at first we thought like there's no way this time is legit, but I just looked at it enough, and like he was just using a lot of different like new strats, and it sort of like it got me to like start up again and like try and push my time even further, and I used some of his strats, and like I was like, I think this is like very possible. I don't think this is hacked at all. And then we just kept on getting better. And I think I'm not sure when
he showed up late.
He showed up late.
The one true god came in real late.
This dude, his YouTube channel name it's gone now.
He deleted the channel, unfortunately.
Rest in peace, dude. But his name was MH3KTKY17, and holy shit. 7, dude. His like best time he sold Elytron with like every weapon, like faster than you've ever seen anyone else do it. I think his final like Elytreon solo hammer heroics time was 7 minutes 52 seconds.
Jeez.
Which is unbelievable.
So that's like well over like that's over 2 minutes faster than I could do it. And he did it with Greatsword like 8.5 minutes. He did it with Lance.
He did with Lance. That was the other thing.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. The thing with these Elytreon solos that made it to YouTube, it was hammer. It was all hammer. Like it was
Right.
always hammer. And Muffin was pretty much the only guy to do it with Greatsword as well. Like,
Well, yeah, I wanted to mention that.
Quote good. There are definitely Greatsword solos, but like Muffin
Yeah.
did it.
I wanted to
very,
mention
very
that
well.
really quick.
Sure.
The way I discovered that, there was some remember the guy that I talked about who wore the Raytheon cap?
Yeah, he did it with Greatsword
He
too.
recorded his friend doing it with a Greatsword, like from a distance. And so I just like watched that like really bad footage and like I just studied it and replicated it to actually do that. So it's like I said, like I don't know how big their community was, but like I feel like there's so much stuff that like we just didn't get to see.
Yeah, there was a lot of pioneering kind of things that went on. But
And, yeah, this dude, the Lance.
So with it only really being hammer, you
Yeah.
know, that was the way you did it. And then there was and like people knew Greatsword was possible, but it was so hard that no one bothered. And then this guy comes out with Lance and Longsword and Sword and Shield, and is clearing it in under 10 minutes just out of nowhere. And it's just like, who is this guy? And he's oh man, it was unbelievable that he just really came out of nowhere and basically set, I guess you could call them the world records for every single weapon
yeah.
in like 3 weeks. And just like, yeah, I'm done now. I'm bored. Like, holy crap, man! It was so that guy's forever the god.
I was going to say, that reminds me, there was definitely a thing, especially in the online community, for the original Monster Hunters Fatalis.
Oh, yeah.
There was definitely a sentiment of, you are bowgunning it or I'm not playing with you. Because no one can do it outside of bowgunning. It was just too hard. Because we talked about this a couple times ago. It only went up to green sharpness for Blade Masters. So it was suicide to go against him because no spot you wouldn't bounce. You would bounce on every spot of him. A friend and I actually did it with 2 great swords.
Okay, that's awesome.
But I mean, there wasn't a recording. It's not like that. I could show anybody that I did. It's just something my friend and I did, and it took forever. I think. Because it was it was a quest that you had to do enough damage within 15 minutes to repel them, and you had 4 chances. So it wasn't like the typical like 50 and then whatever. It's like you had to do enough damage within 15 minutes to repel it.
Yeah.
And then you got to repel it 3 times, and the 4th time you had to kill it, and we killed it like with seconds left on the 4th one. Like it was super close, but we did it. And it reminds me of that. I did have another, maybe a guy that you guys have heard of. I don't know. He's probably more popular now. But Conte?
Yeah, I know
Conte.
him.
I know him.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Because like that's the only guy who does skilled gameplay that I ever watched, and I'm not really. I don't know what it is about Monster Hunter. It's my favorite game, but I don't really care watching, skilled players. It's one of the few game series that I just don't care as far as like skill play. I'll watch fighting game skill play all day just because I can't do it. I guess maybe because I'm pseudo okay at Monster Hunter, I don't feel like it's necessary.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I've never got into that. Not saying that you guys don't have something to say there. It's just like, it's interesting to hear because I never followed that stuff. I mean,
No, I totally agree, and that's just it. Look, like I said before, looking in retrospect to my own channel, it's just like, God, people watched this? Like, yeah, I guess it is interesting, but it's like, it's just 10 straight minutes of watching the dudes. Like, I don't really watch Twitch streams that much or anything like that. It just doesn't interest me to watch someone else play. So some people are really into that, and that's great. And so I just can't believe that. I mean, I did it when I was playing the game and trying to get good. I watched these Japanese players and these other players for the full 10 minutes or whatever, and I checked to see what they were doing, and I was like, okay, cool. But for me, I guess you could almost call it like a homework sort of thing. Like, I was studying it. Some people were just watching the whole damn thing for entertainment, which I suppose is fine. I find like I would rather just, click to the end and see if he did it. But you know, that's just how it works.
Yeah, see, that's how. Yeah, you're always kind of like that. I don't know. I think for me, like the Elytrion stuff, the soloing, that was like just like a personal achievement that I wanted. That was like just a personal goal to improve at that. And then a lot of my 3 Ultimate videos, and I don't know if we want to start.
Yeah, we can move into that.
Ultimate. Yeah, like 3 Ultimate, like, my videos in that game were more so like, I wanted to find like I usually like looked around for some cool like new strats for like from the Japanese players, and I thought like I looked around until I found something that I thought was cool that I could replicate, and then I tried to like bring it to the Western audience, because I actually had I had a much bigger following because of all the new people, and I started a new channel even.
Yes, actually, if I can interject really quick.
Yeah.
So, like we were saying, the accessibility of being able to record. With Try, you know, I eventually did get a slightly better capture card, but like I was working on a budget of well under $100 to do this kind of stuff, and the game was already pretty niche. No one really played Monster Hunter anyways, and then our thing was even more niche. So it was this very, very like small kind of DIY thing. When 3U came and it surged, you got a lot of more professional tier stuff. A lot of like I don't know what you call them, more like standard gaming channels. Like I think like Game Grumps picked up on 3U, and Octane Blue, another like Smosh played it, and so I don't know. I wouldn't really call that a bad thing. It's great that it spread around, but it made, I would say for that competitive community, I would say it damaged it, because it made it even harder to find that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I don't think Game
that's just my
Grumps
2
did
cents.
it till 4U. I'm pretty sure. Like they did an ad, but they didn't do an actual like gameplay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's just my quick interjection. So like, but yeah, so we had hit a point where it was also really nice because by doing that, you have a higher viewer count. You had more people coming and that kind of a thing. But it was also a much more saturated place. Like, how often are you going and looking at, I don't know, like Halo videos, and there's like one dude you find. There's billions of Halo videos, and so it made it a little harder from a personal channel growth point, I guess you could say.
I mean, I don't know.
Although, Muffin did great. This was when my channel tapered off, and Muffin really, really hit the stride and really rocked it. So, yeah, I'll let you go.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just got a lot more attention because of all the new people and just people searching up, like, MH3U. And, like, at my first video, I think I had it within a month of the game coming out. I found this really neat video of someone soloing Village Elytrion with a light bowgun. And they did it with like a bunch of like status and like bombs and blast shots. It was a really, really neat strategy. And like for me, the limiter removal was like that was a new thing because that wasn't in Try, like we talked about. The light bowgun didn't have that capability or whatever. So that strat was like, it just looked really cool to me. I wanted to try and replicate it, so I grinded for the gear. And I got that Elytrion solo out like as soon as I could, and that like really did well. I'm assuming just because people searched MH3U, how do I beat Elytrion, and then that came up. So it got a lot of attention just from people like who wanted to know how to beat Elytrion. So I think I sort of got a lot of growth just because of like all the people searching for like help and stuff. My idea, my channel, I just tried to like find cool Japanese strats and like introduce them to my small Western audience a lot of the time. So we figured out like the Blazooka gun, like how insane that was when you had 3 people. Like, oh, that was crazy. We had
Blazooka wrecked everything.
We had like 4 Blazookas on Golden Sidious, and we murked him in like 40 seconds or something, or like a minute 20 or something like that. We figured out the dragon shots on Abyssal Aegiacris. Like that was like a 45-second run.
Yeah,
those videos did really good.
So those kind of things. That's what I was saying earlier. Just like, it's hard to say without sounding like a huge douche, but just like Like Muffin did that. Like the reason people know you can use dragon shots into Abyssal Gyarados is because Muffin did it. Like that's where it came from. You can pretty much trace it back. And so unless you're Japanese and you could find those videos, that was where you could find it first in accessible English and that kind of thing.
Another one was I found someone soloing a Ivory Legiocris with the Brachydios bow, and that was the first time I realized how amazing the Brachy bow was. And that I remember one of my friends who I met later on in 3 Ultimate, he told me like once he had been following my channel the whole time, and he told me once I like posted these Brachybow videos that like he saw people just like using the Brachybow online a lot. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Do you guys remember
successful?
Do you guys remember the Kelby bow?
I was
oh yeah, I was going to mention it.
Okay, so we, Muffin and myself included, we both have just the active, I don't know, joke / actually serious thing of say no to Kelby bow. We really hated the Kelby bow because...
Oh yeah, everyone did.
Yeah, if you put in just the easier difficulty level, it was just cheesy, it was really obnoxious, so Muffin drew up this fun little comic thing where it's like...
Yeah, the Kelby, that was great.
Yeah, it's like say no to Kelby bow, and so the Brachy bow came in where it's like you can use a slime bow. The Brachy bow is like, in all regards, mathematically better, isn't it?
Yes, so the Kelby bow, it is... good against like Elatreon and Lucent Nargacuga, and it's good against the arena, like the monsters that have reduced health on the multi-monster quest.
Okay.
But other than that, it honestly is not very good. So
just because it had more blast,
I
right?
just used it for the Seideus over and over.
Yeah,
Oh.
so you'd see it around, and so that was the thing, like, Brachybow comes up, and suddenly you just, like, Muffin posts a video using Brachybow, and suddenly you just see more people using it. So, there's no proof, there's no direct correlation, but just kind of like, well, this happened, and now everyone's using it, so...
it was a personal...
there's probably something
it was a personal goal to, like, to dispel the falsehood about the Kelby bow, and, like, show that there are other options that were much better.
Yeah, because I think another reason we did that, probably I would say, for the people that are listening, because even what's weird is 3U is still pretty old. It's like 4 or 5 years old at this point. But so for people that played 3U that also used YouTube, may have... This is probably our most known video, I would say, Muffin. We have a video, both of our views on each of our respective channels. We did the G rank Elatreon. We did a speedrun strategy of that, and we killed it in 1:25, I think.
Yeah.
And I actually, because I was curious, because we had this thing coming up, I did look around. There was only, from what I found, one other video of people speedrunning the G rank version. There's a lot of high rank ones. There's a lot of people doing the high rank Elatreon, and they do it in like 45 seconds. But we had pretty much the only G rank one, and I think yours, Muffin, is up to like 50,000 views or something like that.
Yeah, I have a couple videos over 50K.
So whoever may be listening,
Wow.
if that's familiar, like that was, we threw that.
Oh
one
yeah,
out there.
I wonder if yeah.
And that one on that video, the whole reason that we did that, aside from the fact that it was fun, was because also prior to that, the only thing you would like find if you looked up how to beat G rank Elatreon was a video from Iceman Noob. I don't know if you guys know him at all, but Iceman Noob had a video
seen some of his
where
stuff,
he's like, here's my tutorial on how to beat Elatreon, and it's just him in Giganox armor with a Kelby bow for 38 minutes, just cheesing Kelby. He's like, and that's how you beat it. And you're like, really? Really? For us, it's just like, that's kind of lame, and so ours is equally obnoxious and hard to pull off, but it was still just like, hey, you can do it this way too. Ain't that fun? And it was just kind of...
Yeah, that goes back to like the try days with social distance also. Or like when social was the only real big like really big content creator for try.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's said it himself, and I'm not even like ribbing on him or anything. But like he said his goal was just to create like videos of like how to not be like absolutely terrible at the game, and I'd say like he succeeded at that. But his like sleep bombing tutorial is, it's not like great gameplay, and probably some of the stuff Iceman made, it's not like great strategy. It's just like maybe not terrible. So
right. That's
what we were trying to do, is like show off like what was some other like good strategies.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that covers most of it. If we want to nutshell all of it, I had one. Crap, what was the last thing I was going to talk about? I guess if you want to say the legacy of this little community, because most of these people don't post anymore. Are you guys familiar with Team Darkside, the channel?
No.
Okay, well,
I heard of them.
They come around. They have like 10,000 subs now. They were in our little thing, our little group. They have now since made that Team's Darkside channel. And it's like 5 or 6 of it's all German players. I think there's a few French. But it's all the German players who they each had their own little channel of a couple hundred subs. They came together and put that together. And I would consider, I guess I'm not really involved anymore. I don't look around as hard, but if you're looking for like speedruns or like pro strats for these newer games, Team Darkside is probably the only ones that really do it anymore. And those guys were slaying it around back with us in those days too. So they've been around for a while. I think they're a similar age group. So we interact with them on occasion, and yeah. Muffin, do we want to hit the competitive thing real quick? We're getting a little close on time.
I mean, I guess so. Like, basically, whenever we posted something new, they would just like try and improve on it. Like we were more about like just doing something different that we hadn't seen. That maybe.
So you guys were the innovators. They were the perfecters.
They were the perfecters, and I don't
want to say we're innovating because like I was just looking at like Japanese players kind of, and I was sort of either straight up like trying to replicate what they were doing, or I was like taking their strategy and applying it to something else. So I wouldn't say I was like super innovative, but I wanted to like introduce something new to the Western audience.
And for what I was saying like way back, where it's like. We're very self-aware that we're just like some dudes that were having fun in the game that not pretty much most people don't care about. The difference was that particularly the German players and a few French players, like they really cared. It was really MLG. If you find any of their old channel videos, they had a serious obsession that we often made fun of with labeling pretty much everything they could find as a new version of like a world record,
so funny.
Which like no one cares. You can have your personal record, and I do have one that I'm like really proud of that I did label US record because I knew that no one else had done it faster. But like, no one cares. And it was just really weird that you'd see like, for example, if you had like Deviljo,
no paralysis, Wrathless,
yeah,
like
Deviljo speedrun in 1 minute world record, and then you have like Deviljo speedrun 1:10, no paralysis world record. It's like that's the same thing. You just use a different tactic. It's the same thing. And so like that's for us. I wouldn't say we ever fought with them and we didn't like have any kind of a disagreement, but it was like for us it was kind of weird that like we'd post this new thing and then they would like try to instigate fights with other people. Not just us, other people too. They would like go onto videos and like talk some mad smack about how like they did it better, and it's like, okay, we don't care that much. And so it just made it interesting. It was just another kind of thing to see in the community and that sort of thing.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, so
that was a good topic, guys.
That was our history of it.
I guess if you can call that a wrap, that was us when we had especially no lives.
Well, okay. So I want to take this a little lighter. So the premise of what I want to do, and I may do this a couple times with different pairs of monsters, but with Monster Hunter World coming out, we know that we're going to get some old monsters returning. They've said that. Obviously, we can't dictate what returns, but I think it would be fun as an exercise on the podcast to sort of hash it out and see between what two monsters would we say get to move on. So I'm calling this Monster Fight. And so what I'm going to say is you can go through like whether they're a hard fight, if you just like them better, I don't care. It's just like a free-for-all of ideas of what monster gets to go in Monster Hunter World and what one gets to stay behind. Okay. And the first one I want to bring up is Gravius versus Ignactor. Now, so a lot of people don't like Gravius, and I think some people like Ignactor a bit more. But the idea is they're both filling in the slot of early high-end monster in the volcano zone.
Okay.
So
I immediately say I like the Gravios because the armor set and the weapons just look so dang cool.
You don't like the sleek guard 2
Nah,
set?
not so much of a
It's the ideal lancing set. If you
Oh,
guard
well,
lance,
it's
it
good
was the best.
statistically, but I just really
thought-
like how the Gravios looks. It looks so freaking cool.
I never liked that one, honestly.
Really?
I always thought it looked weird because it was like it's the one that's got that. Well, it looks like the Onion Knight in Dark Souls. It's that really bulbous look, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah,
Onion
it's just
Knight.
like I don't know. It's got those weird
Sigmund.
nubs on it.
I think Gravios is fun to bowgun because you can just like wail on him, but he's so awful with any other weapon.
Yeah, I
will-
was gonna say a lot of people don't like him because of 4U and the death beams of instant hit when the people would zone in
Oh,
to the
yeah.
to the volcanic hollow. They would zone into his nest and he would just like just snipe him out of the air with the fire beam. Now the funny is they both have fire beams, but I think Ignactor's is so the way I would think of doing it is just sort of compare them as a fight. Really, what would be more fun? I think both are really cool for different reasons, and I think both of them have the strength of. There's a lot of breakables on both of them. So you think about, you got Gravius's face, you've got the 2 legs, you got the tail cut. You can't break the tail, you just cut it, and then you've got the back and 2 belly breaks. Ignactor, he's got that really cool mechanic of when he's hot, you don't bounce off of him, but when he's cooled down until you break off the hardened lava, you'll bounce. So, and he's got all 4 legs, he's got a tail break and then a cut, he's got a back, and then he's got a beak to break. So, I mean, it's a little less than Gravius, but both of them are like a lot of breaks that you can do. And I've always found like a lot of breaks kind of fun to do. Kind of like a pseudo checklist during the fight. Like you don't have to keep hitting the same thing. Because I am not an optimal hunter. I like just fighting things, just the way I do it. I'm sort of like a completionist in the fight. I like to eliminate everything, do all the breaks, cut the tail off, do everything. That's something I like to do.
I'll cast my vote. There is no contest. Gravios can stay. It's been a long running thing that Ignactor is without a doubt my most hated monster. Like I would sooner fight a Plesioth than fight Ignactor. Like a Freedom Unite Plesioth. No.
No, see,
Ignactor, no, absolutely
gotta
not.
be for me. I say keep Ignactor just because I don't think it's fun to like use a bladed weapon against Gravios, but especially with his farts.
Yeah,
I'm not
those,
kidding. We had
those
that whole
are-
thing with a Charge Blade and guard up, and you just destroy him.
What about
I
weapons that
used
don't
Charge
have that?
Blade,
You
but
char-
I didn't care for the.
You
That's
had to
stupid,
get
dude.
the guard up skill so you could actually block his farts. But if you had that, you can make mincemeat of
That's
him.
stupid. I don't like him for that reason. But
All right, well-
I can gun and Blade Master Ignactor and like have an enjoyable time. So I'll go with him. I don't particularly love either one.
I have an enjoyable time with neither, but I'd sooner fight Gravios.
So we got 2 Gravios, 1 Ignactor. What's your vote for, Torn?
I'm Ignactor.
Oh man,
we need to
How you guys think I would not vote for Ignactor? He's in my top 3 monsters.
Fair
I
enough,
hate
fair
it a
enough.
lot.
I guess we're gonna have to leave.
So it's a tie.
Yeah, we'll have to leave the tiebreaker up to the community, those who make it this
Oh
far.
no. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean that's cool. We get to include the community.
There
so
you go.
we'll say they're the tiebreaker. Now I will say this. I think that because I don't want to move on quite yet from that because I think there's still something to be said. As far as like, so you got the general like attacks that I think are really cool to deal with. I don't like Gravios's beam. It's always been this weird like gamey mechanic of here's a fire beam, right? Of all the things in Monster Hunter as far as attacks go, any sort of beam like Rajang's lightning beam and that kind of stuff, I think those are some of the most unrealistic things.
You mean Kamehameha Wave?
That was not a Kamehameha, because Kamehameha was like, it was a beam. Yeah, you're right.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the Rajang is completely modeled after Super Saiyans.
Oh yeah, I used to call him the Super Saiyan monkey. I mean, that's
Good old
It's-
Rashang.
yeah. So the fire beam. That said, they both do it, but I like Ignactor's better because he sort of mixes it up, right? Gravius, it's straight ahead or it's a sweep that's really hard to avoid. But Agnactor, he typically pops out of the ground and does that fire hose thing I like, where he just sort of like swivels his head around, that kind of stuff. And
Why
it's
would
not
you like that?
because it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like
No,
it's cool looking.
when he initially
you can
explained
avoid
that,
it.
I thought it was really cool. The idea that it can't control the blast.
Yeah, it's like a fire. It can't. So Gravius is just like, here I am, a squat rock that's going to shoot fire in a line, right? And you got Agnactor, who he can't even ignite his own gases or whatever. He has to do that teeth clacking, and then it ignites and it whips his head back, and you could see it. It's just like when
you break his belly, he can't do it anymore. I do like that.
Yeah.
It's like really thematically tied into the Agnactor, like his monster. Whereas like a lot of the second gen monsters are kind of like that, like Gravius. The theming is a lot better in third gen.
Yeah, and you can actually avoid the sort of fire hose approach because it's not a straight line that's level with the, you can't just Superman dive it. I mean you can obviously, but you don't need to just Superman dive it. You can be in the right spot and actually have a good plan of where to be. I don't know. I just thought, I've always felt that Agnactor has been a better fight. I've never hated Gravius. I mean, Gravius got a lot of hate. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been around the sub. I mean, you guys did say you were around a while. But I don't know if you guys remember, I was the one who posted the weekly monster discussions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've been doing that for like 3 or 4 years. Like that was my idea. That was my first try to outreach to the community since I've been a mod. It was my first project. And I've since stopped doing it, if you're wondering, because of stuff like Gravius. It would devolve into, this week we're going to discuss Gravius. And like 90% of the posts are, fuck Gravius. And it's like, okay, that's a thing. But that's something for Monster Hunter Rage. Go there. We're trying to discuss the monsters. Like, we never really got to discuss that kind of stuff. The idea of what I wanted to do with those threads is gone. Like, it's never been there. Like, It just devolved into, I hate this guy, I like this guy. And very rarely we would get an actual discussion out of that. But yeah, so like, I've always liked Agnactor for the flavor. And Gravius, he's not awful, but he doesn't have a lot of flavor. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah.
I'll give you that.
He's big. He's one of the biggest monsters. Him and Plesiath were just like awe-inspiring in the first game because they're the largest monsters from the first games aside from Leo.
But like he has wings and like he doesn't even fly, does he?
He does.
Okay.
Very short distances, but he flies.
He mostly burrows. I feel like in at least 4.
Yeah, he burrows, but he will fly.
It just feels like a pretty generic design.
Now, I do have a funny story. So back when I did used to play with my friends back in the PS2 days, when I was still a heavy bow gunner, there's a funny situation where there was this area of the volcano where it was sort of like there was an island where a monster would sit and just sort of spam fireballs if it was Rathalos or lasers if it was Gravius, and you couldn't get to it. Straight up, you couldn't get to it. That was one of the wonky mechanics of the old Monster Hunter. Plesiath did this too. Plesiath would be in the river in the jungle, and he would never come out. He would just spit water lasers at you all the time, and you couldn't do anything. You had to wait for him to come out. You could possibly sonic bomb him out, but it wasn't a guarantee for him to pop out back then. It was really frustrating mechanics. But Gravius would sit on this island and just spam lasers. So we get bored. Because, I mean, it's easy to avoid. He didn't do a sweeping laser back in first gen. He just did the straight ahead. So it was like, okay, just walk to the left. Like, so my friends, we were actually just standing there, like, taunting him, doing hand wave gestures and that kind of stuff. Because we can't do anything. But I was the heavy bow gunner, so I was trying to hit him with normal shot across the way. And my friend is doing the taunt where you're on your back and you're like, come get me. You remember that? Like, he's basically almost doing a half crunch, and he's like, come get me. And he's doing that, and then Gravius starts to charge. And I'm like, uh-oh, guys, move. But I couldn't talk because it was all text. So I'm trying to type move like on my little PS2 keyboard thing. I was like, I typed in MOV and then I hit enter and it's like bloop, move. And then they get up and it slowly gets up from that animation. And they both get bowled over and die. And I think my great sword user friend, he had died previously. So that was just, it was just like a straight up like, we just failed the quest because both of them died.
Just a crushing defeat. That's a bummer.
Yeah, so it was like, oh man. So, I don't know. I still vote for Ignactor. I just think he has better flavor. I have too many memories of Gravius just being a jerk.
Seems fair, yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to have a quick discussion, like which one do you think would be better to go into World?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the last part, we'll just go into the community questions. From Anime Makes Mercy. Okay.
Because anime makes me cry,
Oh,
Yeah.
which is still
Yep.
funny.
Anime makes me.
Anime
cry.
Makes Me Cry. Wow, him and I might be good friends then. So he says, just reposting and elaborating my questions from the previous thread. Is there anything about the games in general that you dislike? If so, how would you improve them? Number 2, I know a lot of people don't like charm farming, and even though we all love the game, some things can definitely be improved. Number 3, G rank can be intimidating to newer players, especially those that play solo. What advice do you give them to deal with the jump in difficulty from high rank? And then 4, which monsters from older generations do you think need to be fixed or updated when bringing back the newer games? And tied to that, the user The Bawa also asks about G rank, getting into it. The best way to get into G rank I started with is Monster Hunter Gen. Moving 4U and 3U was a blast, but finding the right way to tackle G rank has been a hassle. The bigger one I want to talk about is the G rank kind of stuff, so I'll just quickly answer the other ones. Is there anything from the game series in general that you dislike? Not really, except for number 2, which is basically kind of answers the own question there. I didn't like charm farming. I briefly did it in 4U just to get a better charm, but in the end I was like, screw it. I have my mix set. I don't really care. I just got a good enough one and I moved on. I could have got a better one, but it was a lot of monotony doing those.
it definitely is.
I think that
So-
system needs an overhaul.
Yeah, and
I would agree with that. What he said, it should get fixed.
It's gotten
Yep.
out of hand.
I don't think the skill system necessarily needs reworked, although it's looking like it is being reworked if you've seen Eric's video on it. It may be reworked, but I don't think that charm farming was ever really that fun. That said, I also didn't really like the other mechanic of 4U, the relic hunting. I didn't do it.
Oh,
I tried it a couple
hated
times.
That. Yeah, I didn't do it either.
Yeah, and I just-
Sorry.
for you.
What are we doing? Or what do you hate?
The relics.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't even like, can't I just earn the weapons through, I don't know, killing the monster?
Yeah,
Is that
as
something
really,
I can do?
really briefly, like as when we were like trying to like speed run or whatever, like I know at least a couple times I was held back by the charms. Like I couldn't get the charm that I needed, so I had a slower time than someone else. So that was very frustrating.
Yeah, I think the charm system in general is really the problem, because you're trying to get skills into armors that don't really support that. You're trying to, you're fitting a meta into the builds instead of diversifying it. So I think in general, I would say just the charms and stuff, which looks like they're going away in Monster Hunter World. Of course, we don't know everything yet, but we haven't seen charms. We've seen people change equipment mid-quest, and we didn't see a way to change charms. But who knows? And then I'll just jump down to the number 4. Which monsters from older generations do you think need fixed or updated when bringing back to newer games, and how? I think that a lot of the stuff from Gen 1 and Gen 2 really need updated as far as ecology goes for that kind of stuff. So we talked a little bit about 3rd generation had a lot of really cool ideas with how a monster acts and behave and that kind of stuff. That is a big focus of Monster Hunter 5 or World. And a lot of those older monsters, like Gravius, like I mentioned, didn't really have a lot of personality to them. And I would like to see some of that come through. There were a few that did stick out to me. So I think as much as people don't like them, I would really like to still see Pleasieth in the game.
I disagree.
Well, so that's the thing, is he needs updated. That's why people don't like him.
Yeah, I can see
They
that.
don't like the giant hitbox and that kind of stuff. But who else would think of a giant shark, essentially, right, that just hops out on the ground and comes after you? Granted, we get that with Zamtrius, but I don't know. Zamtrius is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Kazoo, a lot of people complain about Kazoo, but Kazoo's got some flavor. If you've ever seen the original ecology for Kazoo, that thing is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like, he just like slowly extends his neck and he just curves it around and just bites on the back of a Kelby and just slowly brings it up and eats it alive. And it's like, that is the creepiest, scariest thing ever. I think Kazoo has some flavor to go through there.
Really, I would say, to me, it's like one of the least like interesting monsters.
I think
I don't know. It's blind.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I
have
think it's
music.
pretty interesting. It's unique for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the few monsters that doesn't play music when you're fighting him because he's blind and he didn't see you. I've always thought that was cool.
Oh, maybe yeah. I was thinking maybe in terms of like the fight.
Yeah, the fight. He is a bit different though. Not a lot of them just sort of jump and flop down in front of you. Granted, it's not, I don't know, super fun. It's not fun to deal with AoE attacks like that, but he's unique, I think.
I don't know. I guess I started with Tri, so I always kind of thought Giganox was kind of like the better.
Yeah, I agree, but I think because we're a generation ahead of starting, I think that Giganox takes the cool things about Kazoo and fixes them and makes them better.
I don't disagree. Giganox, I think, was an attempt for a step forward. I think Giganox lost a lot of flavor, though. I think that's the one place where Giganox sort of the game sort of stepped back as far as flavor, because, it's pretty obvious that Giganox is the replacement for Kazoo, which, like I said, that would have been a good fight, maybe in a future, Monster Fight Club to do Giganox versus Kazoo, because Giganox is filling the same niche. It's the cave dweller. It's the creepy one. And the whole laying egg thing, that's gross and creepy. But and it's got that noodle tapeworm looking, while the Kazoo is like a lamprey, both sort of parasitic looking. Yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't know, it's maybe because I'm just used to Kazoo.
Yeah,
I don't think Giganox is bad, but I don't see how he changed it really much. And I didn't see a lot of that flavor with Giganox, other than the egg laying, especially the one where it lays its eggs on its back.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like I like the vampire like aesthetic, and the way you can see its eyes glowing in the dark is sick.
I just thought it was cooler to not have eyes. It was a few blind monsters, Kazoo.
Yeah.
So,
wait, Giganox had eyes?
Yeah.
No. Okay. To clarify, no, he didn't. But he had like fake eyes. But he sensed you with heat, right?
Yeah.
So he still had the like blindness, but he had like fake eyes. I don't know. I thought his design was a lot cooler.
I did like how Kazoo does that sort of hound dog sniffing to find you too. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was cool. But yeah, anyways, I didn't want to dwell on that one too much. What I really want to talk about is getting into G rank. As I've said a lot of times, I end up being a solo player because I don't really like playing with people online. I don't know. Even though I used to play stuff like Call of Duty all the time, and I mostly play stuff like Diablo by myself. I don't know. I tend to sort of play with my friends, but I'm much more into every game than my friends are, so I end up just playing by myself anyways. And that's the way Monster has been. So getting into G rank, obviously, you kind of know what you're doing a little bit if you got to G rank, because you got through high rank. Not that I don't feel high rank has ever been really that hard. But then again, maybe this is just my experience talking, and newer players that might be sort of rough. But the easiest way to get into G rank, in my opinion, is to keep whatever armor that you're using in high rank for a while, to keep whatever set or skill set that you're used to. And by G rank, I think you should have solidified at least 1 or 2 weapons that you are more comfortable with than the others. Then I would just go in entry level, plan out an armor that you want to get. You don't have to go online or anything. You can just, okay, I fought this and this armor looks okay. Find an early rank armor and then sort of move up very slowly. Get a set, move on, get a set, move on, get a set, move on. Because you are going to see a spike. You're going to have to relearn monsters. You're going to have to slow it down. You're not just going to blast through your G rank just because you fought everything. Like, a common conception is, oh, I did this in low rank. Oh, I did it in high rank. I mean, like, why am I fighting these things a third time? Well, the third time is they're harder. They change the moves. There's all sorts of stuff. I find G rank to actually be the most exciting point in the game because you get every monster. There's a lot of their locked behind G rank. If you think like Hypnocatrice and monsters like that were only G rank in Freedom Unite.
I never even bought one of those.
You haven't?
Nope.
It's like a cut Q except it has feathers and it does sleep. It looks like a straight up bird. It was the first actual bird-looking bird.
Yeah, I think I might have fought it one time in the demo. Yep,
and
that's the only time
it was only in Freedom Unite, as in the West. It started as a Frontier monster, and then it came to. It's the one time that I think that the game outside of Frontier got one of the exclusives, but. So yeah, basically you find sort of like a cut Q level monster, make its armor, and sort of work your way up from there. You basically have to think of starting all over. It's like G rank is a reset on your abilities and skills and whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Solid advice. Alright, so are we ready to move on to my topic?
Sure. You guys didn't have anything to say on that?
No, so it's, I guess we'll throw in that your advice, I would say, is the better advice for especially a player that has never made it to G rank. Our perspective is that we do the exact opposite. For us, we always say that the game begins when you beat the game, and so for us, typically we will, for all 3 rank levels, you pick a set. And you ride that set for as far as you can, and you just power through low rank with whatever, like Rathian or Rathalos or whatever, and then you get to high rank, and you make something kind of at the mid tier, and you ride that, and then you get to G rank, and I guess I'm comparing 4U because that's the last game I played, but like 4U we made G rank Seregios armor, and that took us all the way to the very end. And then once you hit the end, then you start putting time into like making really good sets. However, that's because from our perspective, we're more concerned about getting like really good sets, and we want to get to the end. If you want to be playing this game for that full, experience the whole way through, I would say that what you said is a lot better of an option because you got to experience the game as you go through it.
And just quickly regarding weapons, I tend to think that either the bone or the iron weapon paths kind of are a nice safe place that you can relatively easy upgrade when you get to the next rank, because you'll get it maxed out. Say in higher rank you're maxed out, you get to G rank, do a couple gathering quests, and maybe fight one monster once or twice, and you can start to upgrade it.
Yeah, we would typically we avoid focusing on multiple weapons at the same time, like upgrading wise. It's like for my 4U experience, I took Charge Blade, and I was plenty good at all the other weapons, but I didn't want to quote waste time, let's say. So I rode Charge Blade all the way till G rank, pretty much exclusively using it. And then once I hit endgame, I went and I made up a bunch of great swords and dual blades and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I'd agree.
I wouldn't recommend that a new player play that way because you're going to miss a lot of the fun. So don't do that.
Well, I think by the time you've hit G rank, I think you've decided on a weapon.
True, yeah.
Because, I mean, we're talking G rank as like what? an average player that's encroaching 100 hours in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. So for my topic, I picked Shady Hitchhiker's comment, and he poses the question: your top 3 favorite armor skills across all games. What is your worst weapon? And what's your favorite graphical weapon skin? I'm going to start with the graphical weapon skin because it's a real brief for me. I've always tended towards the simple stuff. I don't like the ones that look all fiery or anything like that. Like, I like the Ajito as a greatsword, a big chunk of bone. I like the Chrome Razor as a greatsword, just a big steel buster blade
nice
looking.
One.
They just look so simple, clean. That's kind of where my preferences lean.
Chrome Razor was the distinction of being one of the few poison greatswords for a long time. I think it was the only one in the first gen.
Yeah, it's a really good looking weapon.
And then High Siegeland came along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. I love the version, the High Siegmund, that has like a little bit of red in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bottom jaw teethed look. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think my favorite look for a weapon has it's newer because I'm more into the charge blade now. I've always liked the Rathalos line of the charge blades, where it's got the shield as the face and the sword sitting behind it lights up the eyes. I thought that was so cool.
I really like that. I honestly couldn't think of one, to be entirely honest. Like I think I like the design of most weapons.
So my worst weapon, again, I mentioned this before, but I'll have to say, like, all the non-simplistic weapons, or the things that haven't been around since the beginning. And coming into Worlds, I'm going to try to lean away from that. I'm actually thinking about going Gunner. But yeah, I've pretty much stuck with, like, the great sword, the sword and shield, the hammer, the, like, simplistic weapons. But when we get to, like, gunlance, switch axe, charge blade, hunting horn, those, complex in concept weapons, then I don't have as much experience, and I'm not very good with them. So,
what are your guys' worst weapons?
Easy for me, Insect Glaive. I never could, like, I don't know, I couldn't just wrap my head around the Kinsect stuff, and like I'm sure I could have if I put the time into it, but it just seemed like you had to like upgrade it, and you had to like shoot it out at certain different parts and stuff. It's just like it's too much to learn. Too much. So easily Insect Glaive.
I'm in your boat that the complex ones I'm not great at. I don't really consider Switch Axe that hard. I figured that out that one pretty quickly.
Charge Blade is complex.
Oh yeah, no, I do like Charge Blade a lot, but I put a lot of time into figuring that one out.
Yeah. Same here.
I'm really bad at Gun Lance. I cannot use Hunting Horn. I have a great appreciation for a good Hunting Horn user, because they make the hunt so much better. And we've seen a few like solo videos of people doing really cool stuff with Hunting Horns, so I have a lot of appreciation for someone who took the time to learn it, but I'm really bad.
Yeah, Hunting Horn is not only support. I hate it when people say that. It was actually
really good it's if you're good at it, it's really good.
Yep, I clarified that second episode because people were like, it's a support one. I'm like, there's a following of solo Hunting Horn users.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff.
I like it for the support aspect, which will kind of lead me into my armor skills point. If nobody else has anything else to say about the worst weapons.
Oh, I didn't say mine.
Okay.
So my worst weapon, I'm gonna have to say, is the Switch Axe, and the Switch Axe is because I don't understand how you're supposed to use the weapon. I have no problems with the Insect Glaive, the Gun Lance, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't like using them, but they're complex weapons. But the Switch Axe, I don't know what it is. I don't feel it has too much of of when should I switch into sword mode, when should I not, because it feels weird switching into sword mode to me, I guess.
Yeah. At least in Try, when it was new, it was actually pretty cookie cutter, because sword mode was just straight up just better.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
You basically just build up your gauge until you could use sword, and just use sword as much as possible.
Right, and I kind of treat the charge blade that way because I charge up the files, I shove it into the shield, and then I charge up the files again, and I just go crazy with axe mode. But I don't feel like, I don't know, that one made sense to me. For some reason, the switch axe didn't.
I really like the switch axe. Like, I can use it pretty well. The thing is, it's similar to dual blades, I would say. I really like using it. It is fun, but I have trouble making it competitive with what I also use. Like, anything that I can do with dual blades or a switch axe, like any monster I can fight that way, I can do it way faster with a hammer or a charge blade. So it's super fun if I just want to be playing with my friends, but I wouldn't take it solo because I don't know how to make it on an effective level. I just can't figure it out.
In Try, it was definitely actually one of the weakest blade masters.
Yeah, switch axe was super fun, but it was really, if you wanted to be doing damage, you really weren't doing much with a switch axe, unfortunately. But they fixed it in later games. But it's just by then,
I don't know what it's like
didn't
now,
care.
but yeah,
I think they fixed it quite a bit. But
I'm sure.
Yeah, in Try we didn't really care.
Okay, so armor skills. Some of my favorite armor skills. First one that comes to mind, and the one I was thinking of when I said tie-in, is wide range 2.
Okay.
I felt like Monster Hunter's always lacked a really strong support element. I mean, you can find it here and there, but like I've always enjoyed that role, a support role, like the priest in the party or whatnot. And I always wish that that was stronger. So getting wide range 2 in my set, I love to be the guy that pops a potion to heal the whole party. It's like really satisfying for me. Some other skills, probably Knockout King and Stamina Thief, because I play so much Hammer, and I mean I just can't not address those two, because probably every iteration since I started playing the Hammer, I end up with the a set that has Knockout King and Stamina Thief in one set if I can.
I would say for me, Honed Edge or the Sharpness and Attack. I think that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. So I like both of those skills. I'm putting them together. Awesome. I love it. And then I will say, this is kind of a cheat, but I'm going to count it as one. The temperature negate skills. I almost always, if I'm going into area that has like heat, I will make a heat resistant set, and I will use that over anything else. I just don't like dealing with hot drinks and cool drinks.
Yeah, that's a really solid skill.
And
There was a post in the
would
subreddit not that long ago that said like swear jar and then forgot your drinks jar. I was cracking up with that.
Oh, I heard that before. I like that a lot. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I also tend to try to get fast charge. So fast charge helps a lot of different weapons now. But I liked it when I was a hammer user. I liked it when I dabbled in greatsword every once in a while. But I really like it for the charge blade. It just you get to your shield faster.
There you go.
Yeah, my 3 would. I'm gonna say focus as well. I use it for bow. I bow a lot, especially in the newer games. So that's like you gotta have it. Not an option. Yeah, I'd say focus for sure, just because of the bow, and also obviously I do like great swords as well. So for those two, it's necessary. Probably, I really enjoyed pellet shots, and I also like the spread bow and it's the Bracky bow in 3 Ultimate. So I'll say pellet up. Yeah, pellet up is awesome. I love it when pellets are good. Like every other game, they're like awful, and then the next game they're good. So I really like pellet up because pellets are fun. And then what was the last one? I was gonna say load up because that just like opens up so much like for bows and different guns alike. Like it just makes load up just makes a gun that might suck into a gun that's like amazing all of a sudden, just because just that one more shot in every clip that can make the difference. So yeah, I'll go with those 3.
Nice.
And I would say I'm a no frills kind of guy. Like evasion +1 is great and stuff like that. Or like, is evade +3 still around, or is that gone again?
No.
I think
+2.
it's gone.
+2
Okay.
is
So,
where
like,
we're at.
I like those skills, and I like speed eating, and I like those kind of concepts. Call me elitist or mean, but it just, quote, get good. You know, it's just like, I think you can dodge almost everything without evasion skills, and, you know, don't get hit, blah, blah, blah. So my sets tend to be very maximized towards, like, absolute attack and absolute damage. So I really like Honed Edge, Sharpness +1, like, you have to. If you have a set without Sharpness +1, like, you're messing up. Have to. I would say my absolute favorite is Challenger +2. Because that skill is just ridiculous. Like, I think by 4U it was giving you, was it attack up medium or attack up large?
I think it was
Do you
medium.
remember?
Medium and
Yes.
critical +2. Yeah.
So you could stack it with attack up large and then have challenge +2. I had this greatsword set that was unreal. Like you could just get it to such a ridiculous level of damage, and so I really like that idea. It's just entertaining.
I'm gonna go with it was all kinds artillery. Est. I'm gonna go single most frustrating Monster Hunter occurrence ever. Can be in the game during a conversation. Commonly seen misconception that irks you. I mean, I guess I have like a few, but one that I could talk about, I guess, is I'm sure Joe knows it as well. I was gonna say, Try did not have passwords on the rooms.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember people like following you around?
Yeah, I got followed around a lot.
Oh
my God.
jeez.
There was no
I
passwords
had to be
on the room.
constantly on the invisible settings so people couldn't find me.
But they would go through the lobbies and like search all of them to find your name and then find you. And
Yeah,
like,
and you
if
couldn't
were
kick
trying to
people from rooms either.
No, yeah, there's no kicking. There was no passwords.
Yep, you just had to leave.
And if you were trying to do something like by yourself, like we were trying to do, like record a video or something, and someone found you, they just wanted to like play with you or something. It's just like, I can't get away from this person. That was very frustrating.
That sounds frustrating.
Yeah, so I'm very thankful for passwords and kicking in 3 Ultimate.
Which is weird because, like, you know, I'm sure they're very nice people, but yeah, it's just kind of like, yo, we're busy, we're kind of doing our own thing. Like, could you please? It's one if they come in, they're like, hey, like I watch your videos, and it's like, oh, cool, thanks for watching, and like that's cool. And that's fine. And you're like, sorry, man, like I'm in the middle of something, and then they leave, and it's good. But it's the ones where like they follow you everywhere, and you're just like, can you not, please?
Mm-hmm. I think for me, one thing that immediately comes to mind is, I guess it's not even just true for this game, but I've had some really frustrating experiences, is when clipping gets you killed.
oh yes.
You're like, I totally dodged that, and the monster just like streamlines across the wall to slam you. It's like, what the? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh God. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Joe, what's yours?
I saw the common misconception, so I really don't like Values Edition.
Yeah, dude.
It
What
sucks. So for you, see, that's just it. Even that's outdated now. For you, the Values Edition, which is the light bow gun for Seregios. What did it? It rapid fired slicing shot was it?
And like normal shot level 2.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was like this kind of all-arounder sort of thing, and it was popularized by Gaijin Hunter, who, Gaijin Hunter himself, and this is where it gets kind of obnoxious, he says many times in many of his videos where he's using this gun, this setup, he's like, this is not good. He's like, you really shouldn't be using this if you're like wanting to be helpful for a team or anything. He's like, I'm playing solo and I think this gun is kind of fun and it's a unique thing because it can rapid fire a slicing shot. Like, that's kind of neat. And I saw it a lot on Reddit. It got picked up and that's what was it. It was like, he said, it's not good, don't use it. And just tons of people were using it. It's disruptive because the slicing shot will like knock back people that are blade mastering against a monster.
Oh, that's
and just like, you know, I understand that people want to play the game to have fun and that kind of thing, but like the math of it, it's terrible. Like, you're basically doing nothing. If you're coming in and trying to help your team, you might as well be playing with 3 people. If you have 3 people and a 4th guy that's just for some reason shooting slicing shot, and I guess that's fine if people want to play that way. That's cool. But it was more annoying because like then you'd go in with the comments of people like saying, "Oh, Vice Edition's great," and you're kind of like, actually, it's not. And you would like you can actually creep back my post history. There's a period of time where like everything I ever commented is negative downvotes because I'm just like, that's not actually true, and people just don't like to hear that, and so I don't know. I just don't like Vice Edition because it was.
I'm
just
sure
like,
Shady feels that sentiment sometimes.
It's like poor Gaijin. I don't blame him. He said a lot of times he's like, you really shouldn't be using this gun, and people just picked up on it, and so you see it everywhere, and it's just like, you'd ask. I'd be just like, can you please change your gun? And if they refuse, I would often just kind of kick them because like, I'm sorry, like I don't really want to deal with that.
To add on to why it's bad, rapid firing, like normal shots or like just raw damage shots is not very good. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like period.
So, just don't ever do it. I don't know. It's nitpicky, and I understand that people want to play the game for fun. But it was just always annoying because it's like there's literally evidence that's like pretty easy to show as to why you shouldn't do it, and people are just kind of like, nah, man, screw you. I'm going to do it anyways. It's like, okay, well, I'm just not going to play with you then. It is what it is.
So I'm going to do 2 things here.
Go for it.
First one is very quick and very short. And I've said this the past 2 podcasts. I am very much about being a kind and courteous person in a lot of aspects of life, but especially Monster Hunter. And you guys have been on the sub. We have tried to really, just ratchet up you really got to be kind to each other, people. So my biggest pet peeve right now in the community is people just outright trolling and flaming and hating each other because it's just that's the most irksome thing to me recently. The other thing is most frustrating Monster Hunter occurrence ever, and it's a story, and I've told it maybe 4 times on the sub through text, but I'll say it here. The most ridiculous death I ever had was
Ooh, this will be fun.
I had so again, this is back in my heavy bow gunning days, the first game. I am in area 4 of the Forston Hills, and I don't know if you guys remember 4. Maybe it is 4. I don't remember the number exactly, but basically there's the nest area that's 5.
Oh,
and there's the area that you have to climb up a ledge to get into the nest, because the other one is that sheer cliff down. Well, you can always climb up it. It takes a long time, but you have that one in Generation 2. Generation 4, they cut that middle rock so you can jump off of it. It's just a raised platform in the middle of the room. It used to just be a rock, right? You couldn't get around it. It was just a giant thing right in the middle of that Forston Hills area. Mm-hmm. I was up on the ledge to get into the nest while my Blade Master friends were fighting Rathian below. So I was relatively safe. I'd have to move every once in a while when she turned and tried to fireball me and that kind of stuff. I am full health. I'm standing on the ledge, the very tip of the ledge, and I'm reloading. And a little Vespoid just comes down, just like, bzzz, and rests behind me and stings me. And it sends me into that paralyzed animation. So you're waving your hands, you drop on your knees, and you just slowly fall. Well, I got just enough to fall off the ledge, which cancels your paralyzation. So I'm like, awesome. Mid-fall, I get hit with Rathian tail flip. So then, because of the old janky mechanics of how flying in the air worked, I clipped and was clipping her at the max of her height. So I was stuck midair, being poisoned while falling, which is just eating away at my health. So the fly animation, I did the hard fall where you basically land on your back, you roll over, you lay there, and you just it takes forever to get back up. By this time, I like that Rathian tail flip by itself pretty much over half my health. I'm a gunner. All right, I can't take big hits like that. I shouldn't. And my health is dwindling, and I'm like, what do I do? I queue up the potion because like I need to drink a potion or I'm gonna die. It doesn't matter about the antidote. I need to also be able to possibly take a hit because I can't dodge. If something happens, I need to be able to take this potion. Stand up. I hit the button. It does the drink animation. I hear the swallow, the oop, and then like that. I hear the swallow happen and I die. And I was like, ah, that freaking Vespoid.
Minion
like
monsters are the best.
Oh man, it was just like, it was the most long and drawn out death I ever had in the game. And of course my friends are just cracking up. Mm-hmm. I do have a tiny little story to go with that one also. Before you learn that Gyparos fakes.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. So
there's a funny story in my group of friends that used to play, again, back in the first game. We killed it. Quest complete didn't pop up, but I was a new hunter, like brand new, like it's maybe my third quest. I'm like, yay! I type in chat. So this is how committed I was to doing this. I typed into the chat on the keyboard that I had sitting on my lap, yay, cars! And I rush in and it hits me and I die. And because I suck, it was my third cart and we fail. So
that's rough.
Very unforgiving deaths in the first game.
Absolutely. Do we want to hit mine? Mm-hmm. Or anyone else got things? Okay. So mine's pretty quick. I'd say it's pretty easy. This is from Dragging a Lake. And his question is, at what point do you think hunts are too short, and what point do you think hunts are too long? I chose this because, like I had said about 3U, that the difficulty thing kind of surprised me. And it was that I would say a hunt is too short if I can jump in a room with all randoms, and like we still beat it pretty, like under 5 minutes or whatever. I would consider, I guess maybe that's the perspective I'm reading this from. He's like, I would take it as a difficulty scale when he's saying hunts being too short and too long. So I think if a hunt can be done that quickly and like your group you're with, isn't really meshing or just all randoms, and it takes that quickly, it's kind of like, oh, that's a little disappointing, I guess. And so then conversely, a hunt taking too long is like, if I'm in a hunt for over 20 minutes, like there's a problem, and it's it can take a while. And so I don't know, I guess I don't really have any major solutions. It's just kind of like that's my range. I like hunts to be within like 5 to 10 minutes is kind of my good number.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a nice range.
I kind of enjoyed the like super monsters a little bit, like the
I honestly didn't
giant like videos. I love that kind of challenge. I like having that in the game, at least in a couple different ways.
I love the tiny ones.
Tiny ones are great. They're real entertaining.
Tiny Urgan is the first time I think they did that. No, I could be wrong. They did a tiny kazoo.
The super fun music that came with the tiny Urgan.
Yeah. Yep. I don't really have an opinion on it. As a solo hunter, if I'm approaching 50 minutes and I'm still not beating it, I think that's too long. I think the only thing that really fell into that category was Gogmazios. I think he had too much health. I think it was just not fair for a solo hunter.
Did you have to solo Gog?
No, I didn't. I mentioned this before. It's the only monster that I have never soloed.
Yeah, I think actually we have a guy in our group that did solo it, and we're like, you're nuts, but he's ridiculous. So, but yeah, I would not want to have to deal with a solo Gog. That sounds awful.
I did not. I actually went on the sub, not this one, the Looking for group for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
And I got a group and I did it, and it was the only time that I needed to. In fact, because of the way the new 3DS works, you have to turn off your network settings, so I actually had to unlock my internet just to do that quest.
Oh, man. Jeez.
All right, hunters, thanks for joining us. And remember, don't stand in front of the monster.